Saddle up, saddle up, saddle up. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Let me say, Hetipu, and welcome to the Genesis family. And you know, it's the Peoples Talkshow. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Saddle up, saddle up, saddle up. You know, it's a wonderful, muggy, mild day. I hope everything is cushy, and I hope you, realizing your goals and your dreams, and everything is as you wish. You know, all the time you're not going to get that. We know that, but we look to have more balanced outlooks and ideology. You know the rules of the game. You know that we got to be cordial, and you also know on my show there's no swearing. I'm not going to allow anyone to do that. I'm sorry, but that's just me. My principles. If you're around anyone else, then they can partake in that charade if you want to swear yourselves to death if you like, but not on this one, because this how it is. And so let me rise up management, let me rise up CEO and all of the technicians and all of the presenters that are here in the Genesis neck of the woods, that go in to make up a formidable team down here in this neck of the woods. And I hope you yourself, the peoples that we administer to, and we want you to recognize it's all about you. It's not about me. It's not about my opinions. It's about your views on things, and you can share your own opinions and know. And what we want to do, we want to try and cut down the length of the time that some of us are on there. So we want to keep it nice and neat, maybe 3 minutes each or whatever. But we've got to keep a check on the time so it doesn't go, string it out like, you know what I mean. So people can get to texting or calling. I want to call and want to have their say. You can do that. So let me give you the hotline numbers. The hotline number for you to participate in the show, and that is 07440 370 200. And I repeat, 07440 370 200. And the text lines are, as usual, 07931 2762 and the 32. And I repeat, 07931 2762 and the 32. We'll bring you into the studios. Let me just set things up. I'll be with you right early. Well. There we go. Yes, and so just making sure the phones are working correctly, and we have connections, proper connections. I know we've had trouble in the past with these lines, but I do think we've got it sorted somehow. We're gonna see, yeah. Right. So we're expecting some guests today. So what I didn't. I was waiting for the guests to arrive. So at the moment, I do believe it can be a free for all. One sec. I'm sure. Right, I'm just trying to get this. Sure, the lines are sorted. They don't seem to be working there. Come on. Right. Just want to get these phones a bit charged up. Trying to find the charger. Yeehaw! Well, what I was saying. This might be it here. Sure. Yeah, a lot of things are happening in that community. I'm sure find a lot of things to talk about, really. So much things that affect us, right? So many things that needs our attention. That is if you feel that you ought to find things for yourself. Or if you think that we're in any kind of trouble, you may not assume that, or you just may think it's just life. and we ought to get on with it, stop moaning and pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and all that kind of thing, and all that kind of, That's why I say, over the variety of opinions, you can't take that away. You better get used to it. There are those that like to lord it over people, and those ones who are weaker minds among us, and the weak and impotent among us. And it's always been said, the masses are always ignorant. And so the masses are always ignorant. One sec, folks. Yo. Hello. Yeah, I'm on air, yeah? Yeah, I'm on air now. All right, cool. All right, bye. Yeah, so sorry about that. There are those among us who like to lord it over people, somehow think that their way has to be the only way, and and if they don't get their way, they tend to bully those that are weak and that are easily persuaded. So we've made that distinction already over the period of time that I've been back here in Genesis and on my show. I've made that distinction, and we've categorized all of that, and that we come to so that we can come to the conclusion, the proper conclusion. One sec. Yeah, the lines ain't open yet, but go ahead. You're live on Genesis. Hold on one sec. Keep talking. Can you hear me? Oh, can you hear me? Oh, hold on. One sec. Just hold your horses there. Hold your horses. One sec. I'm not even opening the lines yet, mate. God almighty. One sec. One sec. Oh man, this is loud. Hold it, cool up, hold it. 1 minute. Man, didn't give me a chance. One sec. Alright. Okay, cool. Can you hear me?
Yeah, man.
Okay, cool, yeah. Lines ain't open yet, but go ahead anyway.
Yeah, I was saying that you're kind of something that really pissed me off.
Who?
This lie that keeps going on.
The line?
To you. Lie.
What lie?
They're using media to program that we are the biggest criminals in England. You hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Going to do a thing up Camberwell.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is they're using media, and it kind of really pee me off.
Yeah.
But we are the number one criminals. I just get from Australia. There's around 65 million people in England. You hear me?
Yeah.
Now, I think about 2 million of us, roughly.
Yeah.
So 2 million, maybe small, is in the crime.
That's right. Yeah.
It's overwhelming with white people.
Yeah.
I put to you, sir, most crime, most killing is white on white. What did I say?
Yep.
White on white.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the media promotes white.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to tell you something. I've got a bit of diabetes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of fainted yesterday.
Okay.
Half fainted yesterday. I was in the King Cross Hospital.
Yeah.
Now before I went there, I was in an ambulance. I went to the ambulance. Very interesting information we're talking about. I said to the ambulance, you who commit the most crime in England? I was the ambulance driver. Who does the most killing? And you know what they said? They said to me, most killing is done by white on white.
Really?
You hear me? Brother?
Yep.
You know what I said?
Yeah, I heard what he said. Yeah, I heard what he said.
Yeah, he said, he kind of laughed at me. He goes, most killing is done by white on white. He said, I don't know why they are, for years, it's been your community, your criminal. He goes, as an ambulance driver, I know most criminals are by white and white. Most people carrying out is white. White stabbing each other. Tell me that, brother.
Yeah.
So he confirmed what I already know.
Yeah.
Well, that's you.
Yeah, that's true. That is exactly. I can agree with that. I know there's a overemphasis on us. As you said, we are the real minority. We had a minority here, yeah, and we and what we do can never affect the scale as
brother, I remember a big man, yeah. 58.
Yeah.
I remember when I saw we were called muggers. I don't remember. We were all called muggers. You remember?
Yeah.
We were called muggers. We were big.
That's right.
Bigger muggers in England.
And you remember the time when they want to see us and we sit beside them, they always grab their bags and put make you feel really, really horrible, Bridget. Psychologically.
Even the time when the program called Roots. Remember Roots on TV?
Yeah.
I remember the next day. It's kind of
horrible.
Thinking back, it's kind of laughable. They wanted to sit next to you.
Yeah.
I remember the car was empty,
Yeah.
I want to sit next to you.
Yeah.
Keep bond them,
Yeah. And you know what as well? Yeah. And you know what as well? It is. So we have to go through that, psychologically. It's not nice where we have to bury that. Say, these people don't like us or whatever in the back of our mind.
Are you whispering?
Huh?
It's like you're whispering.
Am I whispering? How about that? Is that any better? Oh, wait, 1 sec. Can we get more?
Okay, come on. I'm listening carefully.
Yeah. So what I was saying is that most of the time we have this psychological war to deal with, right?
Yes.
And it's not easy, brethren, to live in a place where you think that somebody doesn't like you. It's hard to get on in life with that kind of a mindset, and we've been doing that for a long time.
You see? And that's what really peed me off is this programming on the TV. They have a problem. Anybody have a problem in showing that man and woman on TV. Yeah? Why is there a problem like that? Do we just say that in the advert? They said black man and white woman dancing. It's a falsely damages outside, in court, in big time.
Yeah.
On TV, 100%. You can't remember we see black man and woman on TV together. There's promotion of separating us.
So let me ask you.
Let
me ask you a question. So what do you think we can do about that?
Brother, all I think we can do is like your family, rather than my family. But on a wider, it's fine, man. It's just going so long. It's just, you get vexed when you want to. I just care what I say on the radio, but I don't know, on it.
Yeah. So
I don't want to say on the radio live. You might get in trouble. But certain things you want to do,
Yeah, man. So, okay, well, let's see what other people say and see what they can come up with some solution. You know what I mean? I mean, you've been living like this for a while, haven't you? You've been in our country. How have you made it through, brethren?
Say again, bro.
How have you made it through? Because you're living in this country for a long time. So
yeah.
How?
I know my children have been good in there. They've got a good job.
Yeah.
They was at home. So this lie that we're all criminals, and their friends are also doing good. They've done good. They've got family. So
Yeah.
As I said, their friends are doing good. As I said, they all got good jobs.
Yeah, but you still got on with your life, innit? And you've done something.
Yeah.
You see what I'm trying to say?
You see? You make cough on,
Yeah. So we are kind of very strong people, really. You're strong too, because that's psychologically damaging to know that somebody don't like you.
And we sent to you what them really cost them. So I stayed. I found ITV.
Yeah.
Media. That was the first I gave me a number. My phone number, you could complain. Was it any good? I complained to them. Why you got on your advert? Why is it a problem? Black man and woman on your adverts. Relationship, you have a problem with us.
Yeah.
Cut me off. You know what I mean?
Did he? He cut you off?
Cut me off.
Oh dear.
So I said 3 times, they cut me off.
Wow.
You know?
Well, let's see if anyone else can come up with some solutions to this problem, because you've done it anyway. You've survived all of that.
The solution has been on so long, bro.
Yeah.
So long.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It gets tiring after a while, brethren.
Yeah, it gets tiring after a while.
Yeah, you know that, innit?
Because we got enough power over the media.
Yeah.
Have we got the power over the media? For you as a black man to be in the media, a few things you've got to do. If you don't get back your man,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
I get back what you fight. Or you have to love them.
Yeah.
You know? You have to love them. Or you never got a job. You never got a job on TV.
Yeah. But you know what, brethren? Let me say this to you. Yeah? You've come so far, and you're still alive, and you're still going on. So you can't give up, brethren.
No, I'm not giving up, man. But I'm not saying it.
To the last breath. If you're not staying, you don't have to stay here. But I think anywhere you go in the world, Europe has got their influence in every country, brethren. You understand? Just because they're the ruling force, they're the ruling power at the moment. We used to rule. We've had our rule. Now it's their time to rule, right? So we shouldn't be straight.
No, I call the stamp. There's a thing I call the stamp. The stamp of them is the Christian. They've turned the Christian into themselves. So as you know, but when we, as a people, if we go to the building called church, it's them we're worshiping.
Yeah, of course.
Without even knowing it. You know?
It's true. It's true. That's a serious.
Well,
yeah, right then.
I'm hanging up now, right?
Yeah, man. Enough respect. Bless.
Nice.
All the time. Yeah, bless up, Harry. Yeah, well, there you are, folks. Yeah, this is true. What can we say about that? And it's true. We've said it so many times. And, we're in a stage where if we haven't... One second. One minute. Yeah, we're at a stage now, if we haven't learned anything as I always say, if we haven't learned anything in 2.3 million years, then when are we ever going to learn? What do we learn? As a brother spoke about, the media having the power to assassinate our character. We know this. And with each preceding generations that appear in this country, I think that it seems that the understanding has been lost a little bit as to our position in society here. What have we learned? You know what I've learned? I've learned that we're actually fighting below power psychologically. Psychologically, we're almost, we could say, we're almost been defeated. We ain't defeated psychologically. But what we can say about that is that we're fighting the wrong kind of image. So it's difficult for us to even take on the war if psychologically you're defeated. If you're defeated in your psychology, then there's no chance of you ever winning the war. And if you see yourself as being in a war, you can also defeat yourself as well, because you're not winning the war. So it takes away your power to fight. So straight away, I don't see it as a war as such, because we don't have the weaponry. And I wouldn't want to see it as a war, because we're not in a position that where we can say categorically we can win anything. And so I don't see it as a war. I suppose if we begin to see life as a war, we'll then self-defeat. We're in a self-defeatist mode by thinking it's in a war where we ain't doing very well, or at least we think we ain't doing very well, because they have won the psychological war, you see. And as long as they keep winning this psychological warfare, and as long as they keep getting us to think that we are under ourselves, when we're the ones that have been defeated, we've been enslaved, so they allow us to spin that yarn, knowing that when we take those things in psychologically, yes, we're definitely defeated before we even start. That is why I insist on rejecting some of the things that I've heard coming from some of these liberation groups to date, coming from some of these back to Africa ideologies, and the diaspora, and the historical African diaspora, which have taken on themselves to take up the plight of the black group. So every time I've turned on the radio and I've heard these people talking, it's like they're talking about me, because I'm black. And I know that I come from Africa, so the whole world comes from Africa. But and I know that my ancestors were enslaved and none of all these things already, brethren. How many years do we have to go over and repeat the same thing over and over again? There's something wrong in that. And they're so quickly to run to the fore and say, yes, you're black and African and you're this and you're that, and you're gonna, Africa is this and Babylon is that, and that's the sound of a traumatized person, brethren. If you take 40 years still trying to convince yourself that you're black and African, you will then begin to see other things come up in it. You begin to notice other things because the mindset that you're in is like, oh right. I mean, you're already defeated in your mind. So I like to enlighten myself about my position here in the UK, in Europe. What I do when I enlighten myself, I see a different character. I don't see a child of a kidnapped people. I don't auto-suggest them things to myself, brethren. And for the longest of time now, I've realized this, and I try to provide a comparison and say to the people them who are struggling psychologically to establish themselves as whatever. But I know that in my mind, I cannot accept any of these things. I realize after a period of time that I cannot accept the suggestion that has been made by some of these liberation groups, back to Africa groups. I cannot accept a lot of their suggestions because it doesn't really work, brethren. And some of the ideas and suggestions that they are making tends towards psychological defeat. How many of those liberation groups, those back to Africa groups, historical African diaspora groups, ever told you that you were a lord here? Huh? How many of them have ever suggested that you were the first human beings here in Europe? How about that? They've never suggested that, any of that. All their talk is on going back to Africa, you're black and you're African. That seems to be a broken record for them. And I find after years of being indoctrinated like that, I'm still unable to compete effectively in society. As a matter of fact, I don't want to compete. They have made me inactive in a sense of the word that I cannot compete. And the lines are not open yet. The lines are not open yet. Yeah, when I'm ready to open the lines. Yeah. So I'm not ready to open the lines yet. 1 sec. I'm not ready to open the line. Oh, come on, man. I'm not ready to open the lines yet. So you have to hold tight till I say the lines are open. I know we started late, but let me just lay the foundation here for a minute, please, and then you can call them when I open the lines. I got a few texts here as well. I'm going to read them out shortly as well. But you see, I want to just to make it clear that according to the first caller, it was, a matter of seeing how the media tends to want to character assassinate us. We all know this thing. And I tell you the truth, we're not helping it at all. Our youths are not helping it by doing what they're doing. They can't explain their pan-chant. The other day, 4 people got stabbed in Camberwell. I know it's doom and gloom and all that. I don't really want to highlight the doom and gloom of societies, but it seems to me we're falling into that trap. We're fitting their character of us. They know this, and we don't have any explanation from the youths. I know we have a big argument last week about that, and the youths this and the youths that. I'm not running down no youths. I'm not. All I'm saying is, if I am to follow the youths, then I need to know why they're doing this. I need to know why the foul mouth and why the stabbings and the shootings and this all of that, and in what way is that going to benefit me? And if there's a problem, surely then they can come to us and say, well, listen, this is the reason why I'm stabbing up this man. This is the reason why I'm shooting that man. I'm shanking that man. This is why I'm telling you, go do this to your mother, or, F off or whatever. This is the reason why. And if you see that way as a way forward in a place where that's not the norm, I don't know. I try to get my head around this. If that's not the norm, how is it then me going to adapt that? Are you telling me that I have to adapt that kind of personality? That's the personality that you want me to adopt. I don't know if that if you see that as being viable. Because if that's the characteristics that you're trying to tell me that I should adopt, I don't see where that character, me going in front of anyone and telling them to go and do whatever they do to their mother, is going to get me forward. And we're looking the way forward. You're telling for me to have such a personality like that is going to be good. You know, for people to look at me and say, look, I'm going to invite this man down to my house and thing, and I'm going to be telling them to go and do this to their mother and go and F off and them kind of things, their characteristic, you know, and anger, and you know what I mean, the aggressiveness. You're trying to tell me that I should accept the aggressiveness of your character, and this is going to be a way forward. So we're not going to be splitting hairs about the rights and wrongs of things at the end of the day. You're saying, as we studied last week, that that's the right character to have. Well, you be the judge of that. That's why I draw the line, because as far as I'm concerned, that is the incorrect character. And until we can know, and until the youths them can come to us and explain postcodes, explain shanking, stabbing, shooting as a result, as a way to resolve conflict, and we must hail that as being, you know, great. They've got it right. How do we know that the youths ain't crying out for help? And why should the youths then having to lead the adults? Now, I never see that as viable. Why should? And I personally don't think that the youths them want to lead adults, because I've never in my lifetime thought that someone older than me is rubbish. I always looked up to people that were older than me. That's how I grow up, brethren. You may grow up of dissing them, telling them, big man or big man, big, you know, your waist man. I would never ever, even if an adult, as far as I'm concerned, right, was to be what they call a waist man, I still, out of respect of his age and thing, I'm not going to diss the man. Even if he didn't even look after his children, even if he didn't give his children anything, even then, I am not going to join the throng, a pack of wolves around him, to nyam him and tell him he's a waste man, and he's, you know. And I look at it this way as well. When we are courting these kind of ideas, right, and we're trying to, because obviously you know that there's a problem in our community. You may not see that. If you don't think that is, 4 youths got stabbed, that one was disemboweled, brethren. That's what it said. That's what the report said in Kelmer Green. One of them was disemboweled. Well, the man took his ratchet and opened up the belly of another young man. Now you're telling me that we should listen to this kind. I don't know when you say listen, and to me, when they do this and big up the youths that do this, I can't see the logic behind that, and I'm kind of worried when you got adults trying to big up the youths them when you know that they're wrong. But they don't want to be wrong. I don't know how they don't expect to be told that they're wrong, right? Because they know more than us and we should listen to them. I don't know. Well, we can have that discussion today if you want. But I'm going to be less opinionated about this. I want you to tell me how we are to let the youths run things, brethren. At the end of it, it's what they're trying to say in it. Let the youths them run things. In my day, you'd never had that. You'll never. And in black culture, you'll never have that neither. In African culture, the youth is an adult when he's in his 30s. In Western culture, the youth are adults when they're 18 and 18. Come on, man. Come on. That is the nature of Western society. It's not our nature. It's not our culture. It's not our tradition. But we have come along, and obviously because we've lived in a society like that, we have adopted it, and it's not a problem, because anywhere you go and you live, you're going to have to integrate. Don't listen to some of these Back to Africa groups telling you you mustn't integrate. Then what the hell are you doing here if you cannot integrate? So it is a matter whether you want to admit it that you've integrated or not. Well, you have assimilated. You know, you cannot live in a society and be on the periphery. And that's where I think the black community goes wrong. They want to live on the periphery. They don't want to belong to nothing. They want to own this and to own that and to own, because they see perhaps Chinatown and then the Indian one up, there. Yeah, because the enclave. We had an enclave in Brixton. We have an enclave in Kilburn. We have an enclave in Harrow Road. We have an enclave. We have enclaves. We have in Birmingham. We have our enclave, where people from our countries come and join us. They don't even have to mingle with the rest of the community. They can still stay within our regions and then mingle with us and live quite happily. But the ones who are here, the grassroots one, who have been educated here, and the grassroots have been educated here, and I don't think you can look at it as a crime. I mean, look at me. You hear me think, people say, I thought he was a white man, you know. Fine. It's obvious I'm going to talk like this because I've grown up here. It's not rocket science. And I think this is where the Back to Africa group, these little liberation groups, these little minority of fringe groups that have allotted unto themselves the authority to speak for black people. And this, I remember, I keep telling people this, you must remember, it's only the minority of them. The rest of the 1.3 million blacks that are here are up and running and doing their thing and quite happily integrating and getting on with it, and look down on these little teeny minority fragment groups that are making a lot of noise because they can. You understand what I'm saying? But but I can ignore them. You can ignore them if you want. If you want to join them, you can join the throng. But it seems to be just a minority. And again, when we look at the youth, it's the minority of the youth, not the majority. Again, I reckon the majority of the youths are getting on with their lives. I went to a football match yesterday to do a bit of stewarding. I did it before. So the opportunity came up for me to do a bit of stewarding down at the Millwall there, the Den, who was very controversial group back in the day, you know, when the Den lost, mate. The community knew about it. And I was there, standing there, and they, you know, you got to go in there before, and half an hour before, so you get the briefing, what to do, and the code word for whatever, you know. So, and instructions for that day, for your instructions for the day, and I must have been the eldest one there. I thought, whoa, it was crammed with youths, and in a sense, you know, I felt it for them. I looked at them. And I said, look, it kind of reminded me of myself when I was first in the world of work, you see, and looking for jobs and having to, and you can see, now those youths decided to get up early this morning and come and do a bit of street. See, there's quite a lot of them. They weren't saying, I'm going to go and shot some crack today, or a man going to do and get some peas and red, Those are the minority. I'm going to shank somebody today. I'm going to bust my gun and whatever. Those are the minority. I tell you what, there must have been at least 6 or 7. No, I lie. Let me see how much is it. About 70 or so stewards strong, or 80, maybe even 100, and they were all mainly in the, I would say, in their 1920s coming up there. They got up early in the morning, and I thought that's great. And I said, wow, look at them. And they were there, standing up there and doing their thing. And I said, that proves to me that these little rowdy ones, the shanking and the stabbing and the foul-mouthed ones, are in the minority. You see? The one who will tell it, quick to go and tell you to do that to your mother. And these youths they were so respectful, brethren. And I was on my phone still, and one of them touched me quick. I said, look, the supervisor's coming. And the little Indian youth, just knocked me quickly. I thought, wow, thank you, brethren. You see what I'm saying? He probably saved me. I thought, oh, I was glad to be amongst them, brethren. And the girls came in and I thought, yes, man, go on. And they was on the dock side and the other side, southeast side, and the girls were, and you know what I mean, and they were doing it. We stood up there for 5 hours, brethren, turn up. And they were all there, and I thought, that's brilliant. Well-mannered. So I'm not talking about the rowdy ones, those ill-mannered, foul-mouthed ones, brethren. I mean, I'm not talking about them when I talk about the youths, brethren. Because to me, them ones are a lost cause. And I don't want to follow them kind of ones there. And they're not the ones that stabbed up each other in Camberwell this week. And I know those are not the ones we're talking about to listen to or to follow. The ones that we should listen to then and follow are the ones that got up that morning with me on that Millwall thing, stewarding, and they're just doing not much money. But I'm glad that they were still willing. So it's not the youths are not lost. Just like the brother said about the media, we keep highlighting the wild one, them, the foul mouth, good for nothing ones. They keep creeping into the picture all the time. We keep putting them there, when in reality, the majority has got it clued up, brethren. What are you talking about? Well-mannered, well-dressed. They asked us to fold up the visor after we finished, and they said, fold it like this young girl here, and she had it in the way, obviously she must have been there before, and they had it. So I was just trying to struggle with this, and this you see whether you fold up this. I said, wow, I was kind of ashamed. And I thought, yes, they did teach me a lesson, brethren. And those are the kind of youths that I would listen to, and I'd want to teach me a lesson. I don't want any foul-mouthed, bad-mannered, ill-tempered individual to teach me nothing. I don't listen to them kind of characters there, brethren. No. So it's not all the youths are like that. Out of character. You know what I mean? That will go and do what they did on 4 of them, One was disemboweled, brethren. You think I'm going to listen to that? No. No way. There is not all the youths that we paint with the same brush or tarnish with the same brush. These youths rose up early, well dressed, stepping out there to do. It's only £8 an hour, brethren. Peanuts. And if you did the maths, you would say that those who choose to get money quick and money fast and die fast, live young, right? This is what they're going to do. Die fast. I don't want to deal with them kind of people, brethren. Mad people. I don't want to deal with any youths that have that kind of, or anybody has that, as a matter of fact, who's got that kind of ideology. Step out of the way, brethren. These youths, they came in, they were well dressed, they were up early, and they were going to do that work for that £8 an hour. And overheard a conversation, this young girl telling this other young man, it's not much money, but we sometimes we're here for 12 hours. I thought, wow. And she's telling them, instructing the other youth what to expect. And I thought, that's beautiful. I can see the parents in them, brethren. If I wanted to know their parents, all I had to do is look at them. And I can see one of the youths said, this man looked like he's going to be some big doctor or some lawyer back in there. He was well trained. So you can see when your youth is well trained, brethren, not like a wild beast. And you expect man to come and respect that. No. There are not examples what I'm talking about to run parliament. If those ones would depend to run parliament, mate, we'll be spaced out on spice. No work. You can imagine that. What kind of chaos that would be. Those are not the youths that we're talking about. But the youths that we're talking about, I said before, was the well-mannered, well-presented ones that rose early, and I know that we got a couple more matches coming up, and I'm going to be in there as well. It's going to be a pleasure to be amongst such youth. They talk their pardon, yes. I feel good to be amongst such youths. I can see the training of the parents in them. They stood there for 5 hours for £40. And I thought that's a good. My heart felt glad. I wasn't dismayed or afraid. And I knew to myself that there were youths like this. And I saw them, and I know where they are. They don't mind working, for they have good characters. When they get older, they'll be of good character. They know that they must be of good character in order to get on. And there's all different races, Chinese, Indian, all sorts of different races there. And yet, even the people, even the supporters, they were manageable. When Millwall was leaving, they said, "All right, mate, yeah, sweet, mate, all right, mate, war, yeah." And Millwall won, innit? 2-1, innit? You should hear the racket there, brethren. That noise they make. Ooh. God, bloody hell. You know what I mean? And the people enjoying themselves. And I didn't have one bad word said to me, like, "Oi, nigger, wait. I thought they were quite manageable. And I had a lovely day. And I'd done that easy. We're going to be in Crystal Palace next. Then we're going to be doing the carnival. And me, in big old man like me now, who should be retiring, brethren, finding myself amongst youths. And I was so proud and glad to be amongst them. Wow. Yeah, I really enjoyed myself that day. Time went past so fast, so quickly. Every man stood his ground, all the youths them. It's not a big amount of money. Man don't want to work for that. Man get peace. Man make peace every day by selling crack to other people and destroying other people's lives. Living off blood money, brethren. You sell a stone to somebody's family, you're destroying them. Just to get their money. What kind of consciousness is that? It's not every youth indulge in that. You can tell the wild mad ones from the well-trained, the ones who choose to live that life are the ones we should be wary about. In and out of prison. They take prison as a badge. Not only the youths, anyone that goes into that institution is still, I know a lot of adults are still going into that institution. I thought, you're a big person, you're still going there, brethren. What happened? You keep going into that institution, you will lose the use of a woman. You will. And you might even become a woman for somebody inside that institution, brethren. I don't trust anyone that's been 15 years in jail and coming in and out of jail. I don't trust them. As far as I can throw them, brethren. I'm sorry. Your character's been destroyed. And maybe you couldn't help it. But I'm sure if you reached out, the youths have to learn to reach out. You know what my mum used to tell me? She said, with you, if you're sick, you never ever tell anyone. So why don't you tell somebody to say you're sick? And I didn't. I used to, even when I was I never told nobody. I suffered it. I just grew up that way. And my mum used to really tell me off about that. Whenever you're sick, open your mouth, boy, and talk. And I'd say the same for the youths. Don't just, if you've got a problem, remember last couple of strong I said to him, what's the use? Oh, the youths are so angry. What the hell are you angry about if you can't open your mouth and tell us what you're angry about? Open your mouth and tell us what you're angry about. Talk to us at least. What? You want to go and take it out on somebody else? Kill somebody? Because you've had a bad upbringing? It's not to belittle people's experience with their parents, because some people have a really terrible experience. And, it's not nice. Some people don't even want to talk about family. When they hear this family, it really does them, because we don't know what abuse they have to suffer within those brackets or parameters of what they call family. I know that's there. But if you're drowning, you must clutch some straw. If you got it within you, I would suggest if you got it, talk about it. Go and tell your parents why you're angry. Go and tell an adult why I'm angry. Why am I angry? Whatever it is you're angry about, that can drive you, and you can pass the buck onto someone else to say, well, you're the cause for our problems. They love to pass the buck on adults, and then to say, well, it's the adults that are the fault or the cause of the stabbings and the robbery and the drug taking. It's the adults' fault. And I've never heard so much cop out in my life like that. And we don't encourage that kind of cop out. We shouldn't encourage that kind of a talk. That's why I said, when I hear people talk about the adults, you're just you're giving them an excuse, brethren. As I said before, we already know that there are people, adults in family situations that have, are actually not the right people to have children at all. So and once we recognize this, fine. We're not saying that every adult or every parent is an angel. We don't know that. And so when society will try and shape the behavior of our children and shape the behavior of adults as well, then they would actually include the characters of these young folks. And wherever you may feel that the society is racist, ready to tear and ready there, fine. I'm not going to deny that there's some institutionalized racism that goes on in society. I'm not blind to that. But because of that, and it's either you're going to, if you don't like it here, then we have to go in it. No one's holding you down. You're not forced. We weren't forced into this society. We didn't come here as sardines in the good ship Jesus. You know what I mean? So we were invited, I know, here, this generation. But I'm talking about the psychological edge that we're supposed to have here as people. When we're talking about we're in a psychological war. The psychological edge that we should have has been removed from us by some of these little fringe groups as well. This is what I'm talking about. The fringe groups, and those who are on the periphery, are always educated by these fringe groups to think we can't partake in society at all. We must not compete. We must, you know what I mean? So, well, if you have educated us thus far to that point where we're no longer able to compete in society, and you got us on the periphery, then it's for you now to lead us the rest of the way, then, isn't it? You got us outside of society, outside the system, yeah, and we're not partaking of all the we're competing for the resources at the same time. But you got us outside the system, so we cannot compete effectively because we're being negatively influenced by some of these fractions, know-nothing personality groups that keep popping up all over the place, ready to lead sheeple, ready to become cult leaders rather than builders of community and the ability to live with people. Our youths, not again, only the minority that are wayward, but our youths, the majority knows how to do this. And they're not even following these little fringe groups. So it's the minority we're talking about. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. But if we had the right goggles on, we will see that we're not that bad. And we've been creating this worse image of ourselves for a long time. As I said, you tune into my spiritual show. Some of you, I haven't been on there for a while, but I know that I've been given the information how to deal with this, what kind of imagery to create, and how imagery is created naturally. But the only thing you don't recognize is you have been sowing that kind of image. If you know everything's linked to the vegetative functions of the vegetation that we are partaking in, the power that grows things, and our ancestors knew how to cultivate that power, to energize their selves, their characters. If they're going to plant, then it's about sowing in it. So if I have a negative image of myself for the past 10 months and coming up to the winter solstice. Now, I'm preparing the ground. I've just finished I've lived 10 years, all what I have imagined myself to be for the last 10 months. I've been living that now. Because that's what I reap. So the thing about it, if you don't understand that part of life, you will be sowing the wrong imagery, and which you could alter. That's why the power of our destiny is in our hands. As a man thinketh, so is he. And what? So goes his destiny. So you just got to be thinking, and your destiny's there. There's no pre-planned destiny or predestination. No, it's not a predestination. Your destiny's planned. No. As you think, so goes your destiny. And if you had any sense and you knew this, that's how the thing goes and that's how it works, then you would be careful to make sure, if you're teaching anybody or leading anybody or advising anybody, you better be telling them that they ought to be careful of what image that they are going to be using or going to be planting over the next 10 months up until the next winter solstice. Yeah, recognize this, but you do this subconsciously anyway. You know what I mean? You're ignorant. That's why they say the masses are always ignorant. And if you educate yourselves, then you would know differently. And so, but again, quickly, before I let you interact, is that you can choose your destiny. We can choose our destiny. This is what we're saying for wise leaders who want to, and I think the youths, them are wiser and up now. They're there, heavy, not those little wayward ones. I'm not talking about those who are walking around with shanks and tattoo all over their bloody face and spitting foulness and them kind of demons, brethren. We're not talking about those. I don't know where they come from. I'm glad that they're in the minority. And we shouldn't give them not even a time of day. Well, they won't get a time of day from me. You're not bullying anyone around here, brethren. That's for sure. I'm telling you. And so goes it. The youths in the majority are ready and prepared to do what they have to do. And they're prepared to go a long haul. They're not those instant gratification ones. Need instant gratification straight away, just like their phone. They can so they think life is like a phone, an app. You just instantly switch it on. So they think that kind of a way. I ain't gonna go work for no 40 grand. Years to get food. I can make that in a day, mate. And they think that the maths is correct, not realizing that their character has been laid waste as they do this thing, selling crack and selling all of this to destroy other people's life in order for their lives, for them to live. They have to destroy somebody else, brethren. That's not work. That's not viable. So, and again, we're talking about the psychological warfare that we're ensuing on. And we're already defeated because people have been telling us, they don't like us. They don't this and that and that. They're against us. Systems against us. Well, again, you remember, as a man thinketh, so is he. That's their destiny, but it doesn't have to be your destiny. If you understand it deeper. We ain't got time for that today. But next time, just tune into the Heru show and then you get more of that initiation program. You see. So how are we doing when we come to are we trying to win a psychological war? We're not working here as slaves. We're not even going to be walking here as visitors, brethren. From a Caribbean island? No. From Africa? No, we're not visitors. We've lost that war, you see. We are conquerors. You see? We came here as conquerors, brethren. So why should we be walking around as foreigners? We're not foreigner here. Cheek. The Caucasoid has got us to believe that we're foreigners, you know. They've won the psychological war to make us think that we just come the other day. We come through Windrush or we come through slavery. No, rubbish. We were the black nobles of... What happened to the black nobles of Europe? Huh? The albino Caucasoid has managed to switch on us that, you see. And allow us to be thinking that we're strangers here. We're foreigners. We ain't bloody foreigners here, brethren. What are you talking about? No man can tell me I'm a foreigner here. I don't walk in London as a foreigner. I walk with my head up high. I'm a noble. I'm a lord here. We're lord of the manor. 700s. What are you talking about? Black Friars. All them placed there. Exactly what it was. Black Friars. You see? and a lot of other things, even Irish. Even the story of the seven dwarfs, Snow White and the seven dwarfs, were talking about the pygmies, brethren, that lived in Cornwall. That's recent history. You want me to go back further? I can go back as far as 40,000 years ago. What are you talking about me as a foreigner? Don't be silly now. I used to kind of grabbing that now. They begin to walk as lords. Or they should be, descendants of lords of this manner. They reckon that all the slaves were taken from Africa. No, no, no. And a man, there's a big argument the other day about this man, black man, saying he's not Afro-American. Then they slaughtered him. What's this punk and this nigger talking about? The man's. I thought, shut up, you pathetic people. The first time anybody wants to acknowledge their true destiny, talking about a nigger this and nigger that, man's this and man's that nigger. This is the diaspora, and especially the Americans and the American diaspora and the UK diaspora, one of the worst traumatized I've ever. If you listen to them talking a lot of crap, running the man down mercilessly because he said he was not African American. He said, I am American. It's like telling somebody who's from the Iberian Peninsula that he's an African. And although he's black, he ain't going to say that. How long have they been in Spain, brethren? They don't refer to themselves as African. Slaves didn't come from Africa only. It came from the Iberian Peninsula, Spain, and some came from here. The black European. What's wrong with that? You think those are so silly that only follow the African thing. Would only say that blacks come from Africa. That's rubbish. Blacks came from everywhere, wherever they found themselves. How about that? You want me to walk here as a foreigner? This is Babylon. I can't stand all this Babylon talk. We're talking about this is Babylon. A silly talk. Babylon. You want to follow that kind of a weak and impotent mindset? Well, it's you. Be my guest, brethren. But you ain't going to get me following that. I'm a lord, I'm a noble. And in fact, I don't even know where part of the planet I came from. They said I came from Africa. Fine. Because I was in the Caribbean. But it doesn't necessarily true, though. I could have come from the Iberian Peninsula. I could be taken from Europe into slavery, as we were here as lords, the black nobles of Europe. So we've been tricked by the help of some of these little know-nothing personalities called Back to Africa and called liberation groups here in the UK. They haven't got a clue what they're talking about. You know that. You can see. The evidence is clear. All the... I won't bother going to that. You see what I'm saying? You know. So I'm going to give you the chance now. I'm going on too long now. Come on. This is People's Talk Show. So if you are ready, you can dial 07440 370200. Repeat 07440 370200. We'll bring it into the studios. I've got a lot of texts in. I'll read some. And the text line number, of course, is 07931 27 62 and the 32. And I repeat 07931 27 62 and the 32. We'll bring it into the studios. And so be cordial, be respectful, you know what I mean, and have your opinion on it. You know what we're talking about, and how are we gonna see ourselves in the next 40 odd years? How do our youths see themselves? And I ain't bothering. And our youths ain't bothering talking about black and African, you know, because they see that as a dead end. They're smarter than us for real. They know they've got to get on. They ain't going to have the same hang-ups as the adults had concerning themselves. And they'll tell you that happened a long time ago. Adults said, you shouldn't say that, you know. Or you shouldn't say that. You can't say that. Why not? How do you want to get rid of trauma? You don't. If you don't want to get rid of it, you want to hug that character. If you want to soul that character of a slave for the next 10 months coming up, the winter solstice. So by the other time of your harvest, you're going to be harvesting other things. You're live on Genesis.
Oh, hello, Heru.
Yeah, go on.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. You're talking about the youths and and many other things as well, intertwined. But let me tell you something that you haven't touched on in this. Yeah? Do you know the amount of violence that they watch, the films they watch, the things they watch at 15, at 12, at from, let's say, teenager, when they hit 11 and they go onwards to 19, yeah, and the films that they watch can also be effective. Haven't you heard, and this is from my view. Now, I'm in my 30s, mid, and believe you me, I watch a series called Power. You heard about the 50 Cent series, haven't you? Power, that 50 Cent in. And basically there was one scene where the mob tied the guy, because he's now with the Croatian mob, the 50 Cent man, so they're doing business. The guy, basically they got a rat and, fed the guy's face off the bad guy that they're tying up. And these are the sort of things, basically. And even there's one scene where the man just tows the guy with a chainsaw. Now, can you imagine all these films like Criminal Minds, Chicago PD episodes, series, even EastEnders, which has subliminal messages in EastEnders, Tracy Beacon, which a lady, if it's a lady, stands up and tries to hit her mother. This Tracy Beacon has subliminal messages in that. Now, what am I trying to come with this is that if I can be affected by some of these things, and you know me and the amount of enormous bad things that I said on Genesis, maybe you heard whilst you was at the other station. But now that you're back, yeah, now I want to ask you this. Why is it that they're making more and more and more so much violence films, and they're putting this onto the community, and then there's going to be more that's coming out on the British industry, like for example the Hatton Garden job, which even that sends subliminal messages in that. Now, then you got problems like, for example, a youth who works very, very, very hard. Yeah, he works hard at school. Yeah, and basically comes out. Yeah, and he thinks, well, I want to get this job. He wants to get a good job. He works so hard. But after when he comes out of uni and he finishes the thing, all he becomes is he sells popcorn on the cinema, and then he becomes a manager of a town, which doesn't pay him a lot. Think about the tuition fees he or she has to pay, because I know someone like that, especially. They finish university, and then they end up selling popcorn in the cinema, because she was studying media studies, and it's from my community, And what I'm saying to you is that as long as these things are not being solved, you're going to get things that is going to be twice as bad, and it's getting worse anyway. Then you got things like, basically, the youth, obviously, he becomes old, and he has to end up paying the tuition fees. He, when he finished university, could not get a house. He could not have it because it's getting expensive out there, things. So what's he going to pay for? The rent, the things. It's very, very, very difficult out there. You understand what I mean? And all you get is tricksters or people who you don't know who they work for. They say to you, you want some real money? Do you want some real dough? Yeah, I can get you what I want, but you need to carry this for me. He carries that thing, and all of a sudden, police come out from everywhere and they say, freeze, freeze, put your hands on your head. This happens not just in England, this happens in Germany, America, all around the world. I don't think this as a globe, I don't think this is just a black thing. It's a Turkish thing as well. And many of our people, yeah, they love to talk about entertainment. And you know what the situation is in this climate right now? You look out there, yeah, it's hot weather, it's good weather, yeah, it is. But people are not focusing on the big picture. People are not focusing on their youths, on the big picture. You understand? Everything is gone away. I'll give you another situation. Yeah, in school, for example, you've got. Let's say you have a son, a grandson, and basically you don't know. He's in a normal school. They're studying history, right? And the boy comes up and he says that for my country, I will not recognize a child. Yeah, for my country, and then he gets into trouble by the head. The head calls him, and she starts shouting to death the names. Calls him names without the consent. Calls the police. The police take the child away from you, from your would-be grandson, and basically the social services, they ask him, "Oh, has your daddy abused you? Has your daddy did this?" After that, the child gets placed into either prison or foster care. When that child comes out, then he becomes very aggressive, violent, because he's in the hands of either pedophiles or sex offenders, and there's many, many cases in school right now, yeah, that you won't even know, even for the littlest of things. Now, let me give you an example. Let me give you this. I've said something like that, and I shouldn't have said this because people will be going on me. There was this, we was just having, and I said to someone that I know, looks after, I said, I will not know a child for my country. Understand, I will sacrifice. And that's when, that's what I told you in one of your shows. And these are because of some of the films that I will listen to. Not just that, some of the music that I listen to, which is violent, thrash, death metal, thrash, rapcore, violence, what other music there is, hardcore punk, and there are many, I'm sure of this right now, that there are many, many different colors of youths, yeah, who could be listening to all this kind of music, and basically it turns them out to be violent. Then you've got either the youth is carrying a knife because he needs to be protected by, in that school, and he's been bullied in that school, basically. Or there's another situation where he lives in the area where they're carrying a knife. And this is not just in England, it's in America, but let's focus on England, yeah? And what's happening in England, yeah? And also the people who try to con the youths, to do bad things for them so they can get money. But when they start to do more, they start to get into more and more. And then they end up in a dead end.
Yeah, okay.
Basically, they fall down in a dead end. Look, I'm in my mid-30s. I don't have, let me give you an example. I'm single. Yeah, I don't have, but if someone came up to me and said to me, do you want some real money? You'll get all the girls in the world, the cyclists, women, everything in the world, I could fall into it because I'm gullible. Yeah, and basically I'll fall into it. And that's why my mom's, even at this age, she's very concerned of me. God forbid if something happens to her, then I could fall into the wrong hands. And these are the things that I'm trying to put out there, because there's so many issues that I could talk about, but I can't seem to talk about. There's many young of your community, not just in all communities, going through mental issues, sexual issues, and other issues, and basically there's none of these things are gone through. None of these things are actually on Genesis right now. and it's really upsetting me, Heru. You understand? Because I'm going through the things that I'm going through, and there's nobody up there coming up and saying, "Well, my child is going through this." What's the point? Why are people so afraid to come up and say, "Well, my child, he's at his 30s. Why can't he come up and say, he or she, the parents come up and say, well, this is what he's going through." Why are they so scared of phoning up Genesis? Is it because they're scared? Is it because they don't want to? Is it because they've been boxed into? Is it because, no, Genesis don't give bad examples? Look, I've been a Genesis listener for some time now. Yeah, I've been a Power Jam listener. I've been a community radio listener for some time, and there's nothing to be scared about. Yeah, because I'm the only one that comes on. Yeah, people say, "Oh, we're sick of him." But there's many people out there who's having different issues. Why don't they come on?
Okay.
Why can't they come on?
Okay.
Because Genesis is about helping. It's about finding solutions. It's about getting together. That's why you called it the last chapter, Genesis Radio. That's why you called it. And before then, they're going to regret that they haven't come on. Because God forbid anything could happen now. Look how they come after that other community station. They could come after you. This is what they're doing. This is what they're doing right now as we speak. And they're trying to put up an internet too, so that the people of Internet 1, they're trying to restrict all these things that are happening. You understand what I mean? So how are we going to communicate?
Okay, well,
if something happens, a youth dies on the street, a person gets stabbed on the street, how the hell are you going to communicate? Let's say some case happened. How are you going to communicate? No, there's no communication because the internet won't allow it.
Okay.
So I'm very, very frustrated. There's also my other things I'm going through, but I'm also frustrated of the capitalist system. Everyone's for himself. No one cares about no one.
Okay.
And Dr. X is right. You don't care for anyone no more. So it's going to be very, very difficult for, I could say, I'm an outsider, but for the community at all, they need to start to get together.
Okay, right.
And the mayor and the governments aren't good either.
Okay,
so
okay.
We don't have good mayors.
All right, I want to thank you for that. Yeah, enough respect.
Someone's
thank you.
Trying to call
you're on the wrong line. Yeah, okay, thank you. Hang on, let me see this caller calling me on this phone here, for man. Hello, caller. You're calling on the wrong line. Hello? Yeah, it's 0. You got a pen? Okay. 44 03 70. Yeah. No. 07443 70 200. Yeah, you repeat that. Repeat. Let me see. You got it right. Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Cool. All right. Sorry. All right. I'll read that slow again. Yeah. All respect. All right. Cool. Yeah. Just reading that a bit too fast there. Let me read out the lines. The lines for interaction one more time slowly. 07440 370 200. And I repeat, 07440 370 20. One more time. 07440 370 200. That's 07440 370 200. And the text line number is 07931 276 232. And I repeat, 07931 276 232 is your text line number only. We won't be able to take any calls on that number. So, yeah, quite interesting. Thank you for the last call there, Bertrack. And the caller before, right? gave some interesting statistics. Well, no, just some interesting thoughts on the way we've been blamed, and because we're the minority. I think this is the problem, because we keep seeing ourselves bigger than the minority, and we're not looking at what the majority is doing. We're always tending to what little minority fringe groups are doing, never to what the bulk of the blacks here. And I want to have that kind of consciousness now. So I read something here in the Black British. Black British are British citizens of black origin or heritage, including those of African Caribbean, sometimes called Afro-Caribbean background, and may include people with mixed ancestry. The term has been used from 1950s mainly to refer to black people from the former British colonies in the West Indies, i.e. the New Commonwealth and Africa, who are residents of the United Kingdom and who consider themselves British. That's kind of weird, isn't it? Who consider no one's forcing you to look at yourself as British. When you hear people say, "I'm not British," well, no one says you are. If you don't want to be British, that's up to you. It's not no one's forcing you. But if you're in a society that is built on Western cultural systems, what do you expect? You can't come into Britain and then demand things culturally, demand that British culture change to suit you. You know, this is the kind of ideology that some of these back to Africa Babylon talking groups that tends to be in the minority, that insignificant, weak and impotent groups that are going around. But we want to have this thing straight, because you can see yourself as British if you like, and it's not a crime. And we've got these little bullies, I call them bullies, that just sitting on the periphery, that any black people that want to call themselves black and British, they get a stoning, brethren, from these bullies, cultural bullies I call them, to tell, you can't tell a black person what he's supposed to be and what he's not supposed to do. This is what we suffer from, or the minority of us suffer from, and the majority are just getting on with it. I want to be with the majority. I don't want to be with the minority. I want to belong to the majority, and I want to do what the majority blacks are doing. I don't want to do what little fringe, useless, weak and impotent groups that mean nothing, that cannot do nothing for me to... You're live on Genesis. Yeah.
Good afternoon, hello.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Yeah, I tried to ring that number that you read out.
Yeah.
And I got in late, and that number's a dead number.
Maybe
so
I read
on
it.
the piece of paper that I've got, I've phoned in 074.
Oh yeah. Okay. Hold on a minute. You're right. Let me get a pen and take it from you, because I'm thinking I'm reading out a wrong number for real. 181 it ends with, isn't it? 18 something like that. Yeah. Let me get a pen and write this thing down properly. I'm looking. Oh, hold on a minute. Is it 07404 367 618? Right.
That's the number I've got. That's the number I'm calling you on now.
I've been reading the wrong. Oh my God. I better. I'll give it out again anyway. Sorry.
Well, the fellow that whoever you just spoke to gave you that number, and you read it out to us, and I'm like, well, that's a new number. I didn't know, so I'll try. Because I got in late, so obviously. Okay. Yes. From week to week, the phone has an issue. I'm not quite sure what kind of engineers you got, but I think you need to get some new ones.
Well, it's sorted out now.
20 years of the same service.
Yeah, but it's sorted. We got the going now, because I hear you loud and clear, and I'm sure you can hear me. That's a lot better from the last times. But I think I definitely gave out the wrong number. Definitely the wrong number. I need to give out the number. Oh my Lord, I'm terribly sorry. Thanks for the correction anyway. Thanks for that.
No worries. I mean, it's something I've been doing for some time, rather passionately correcting the misinformation.
Yeah.
Whether deliberate or indirect or whatever the case may be, there's got to be somebody who's going to actually be a voice for truth, because, as you know, the truth in a world of deception, you become the enemy pretty quick, even by your own kin will say, nah, you ain't going with the trend. You know what I mean? The consensus says this, so the consensus, That's why we get lemons that kill themselves because they go with the consensus. It seems all right for them to jump off a cliff. Anyway, something I've addressed some time ago, and I'm going to address it because as I jumped into your... In fact, I said I'd ask you what the conversation... no, I said I would phone in and ask, is it okay to introduce any topic, or is there a theme that you prefer to talk about?
Feel free. You could introduce you can say what you like. It's okay. It's not a topic. I did expect some guests, but they're not here, so I didn't really have a topic. I was discussing a proposed topic about the identity thing, black or British, and somebody called in earlier.
I was just about to address that. Okay, no problem. I mean, I kind of liked it. I suppose I just like a phone conversation with the people phoning in when it's open. Whatever they've got, whatever information they've got, whatever pet peeve they've got a home on a Sunday, so long as they don't swear, where they can bring it up and open it for discussion and or get the information or get the news or get the facts, whatever. But anyway, let me just do this one more time. One more time, because it seems to me, I thought it was just black people, the Caribbean community that are just stupid. But I seem to have to do this to lecturers as well. So I can't say it's just consigned to people who didn't stay in school or who like to, quote, unquote, pick up the chest in the community, barbershop talkers. It seems to be something prevailing. And it's amazing what you can find out when you are a learner as opposed to a talker. Talk after you learn something. Anyway, let's put it simple. What is your nationality?
Well, my nationality.
And I'm going to preface that. I'll let you answer, but I'm going to preface that. I don't want to hear any more stupid, clever quips. Not that you were going to offer it. You wasn't going to offer this, but I've heard it before on Galaxy and other. If you were born in another, would it make you a cake? And if you're born in a stable, would it make you a horse? All of that might sound witty, but it's stupid. And it's really childish, right? And it can get slapped down easily. This is why I say the bigger their heart, the harder they fall when they meet me in a debate. Don't do it, because you've been doing it for a long time, making money off the back of your nonsense. You won't tell the truth, right? Yet they call themselves like there's some leaders and chiefs and all of this nonsense, titling, self-entitled, you know what I mean? God. Anyway, so just for the reference, where were you born, Heru?
Jamaica.
Okay. Does that make you a Jamaican?
To all purpose intents, yes. Well, according to my citizenship, yes.
Okay. Then perhaps you can also call yourself British.
Yeah, of course. Not yes, by my citizenship again. If I have a British citizenship, I can call myself.
What is your passport?
Jamaican, but I'm a British colony in it. So they said before the 60s, I was British before the independence.
Well, you would have been until independence.
That's
when you chose to say, well, we'll throw off the yoke and we'll be independent.
That's
so therefore, the Jamaican.
Yeah.
So there's no confusion with you. But for those who were born in it, and I get it all the time. I just think, I roll my eyes. I'm like, but you drive this car, you earn this money, you got that job, everything's good. And there's a disconnect. Where are you born? If you're born in England, you're English. End of story.
Yes, of course. Yes. Wherever you're born.
What's worse about it is, in this time of discussions about EU, it should be blatant what you are. And it's amazing. And then I think to myself, why would it be? Where's the blind spot? What's going on here? Because there's got to be something going on here. You can't be that stupid. Hell no. But you know what? Your council is just so stupid. Your council is actually lying. I found that out. And I actually drew the council up on it. And they know full well that they're lying. And trying to inveigle people into a crime. I'm not going to say what council. Please do not say it if you know. You understand? And I won't go no further than that. If you are keen to want to learn, then you don't speak about what you don't know. But if you learn a lot by being quiet. You learn a lot by reading too. But the councils up and down this country, I tell you, most of these are Labour. And I'm going to tell you straight up, your Labour, or what you believe to be Labour, remember, it changed its name to New Labour, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know this already, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you know it's not the party of the people anymore. Know that from Tony Blair got rid of Clause 4. Tony Blair got rid of Clause 4.
Mm-hmm.
The minute he did that, he killed the Labour Party. There was a little uproar and up on... But let me tell you, who rips people off in this country more than what the left wing or the Labour want to tell you. They say, oh, it's the rich. No, it's not. It's actually your Labour government.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't tell you where they're ripping you off. They just don't tell you when they're in bed with PricewaterhouseCoopers and Goldman Sachs. They just don't tell you that. They keep preaching at those who had no... Most of the time, if you inherit something, let's just say you won the pools, Heru, and you got a grandson just born yesterday from your son, and you popped your clocks and you wrote a will and gave it... What? Is your grandson supposed to be the landed gentry, and he made everybody poor because you gave him something? Let's say you didn't win the lottery and it wasn't a lucky thing. Let's say you invented a super duper patty or a super curry dish, now being sold on the shelves, and out of that you then handed it to your son. Is he to blame for something? Can you literally blame somebody for being 6'5" and you're 4 foot whatever it is? Can you blame somebody for something they had no hand in? Do you see where Labour is taking you? This is a nonsense. All this Marxist trickery gets exposed by me pretty easy. It's not that hard. Once you remove your biases, put them aside. Oh, you're alt-right. You support white. Oh, you don't sound too much like a Jamaican to me. You sound white. I bet you got a white wife. Oh, you don't like... Everything is ad hominem. Everything's got nothing to do with the points I am making. Everything is to do with play the man and not the ball. And all I'm saying, I'm an educator. Oh, you call yourself this, you call yourself that. I stand by it. Until someone can pick apart my argument, which, if I built it, it's not pick-apartable, if there's such a word. So, I don't get it. If you're born in this country, it makes you English. So somebody who has an Oriental background, they may appear to you. What do you say when you see? It makes me laugh. People see somebody who looks Oriental, and there's an argument. Why are you calling them Oriental? Oh, you're insulting them. Did some Oriental tell you that? No. So let them tell me they're insulted, right? That's number one. Number two, usually when you see somebody who looks like what we're talking about, I'm saying Oriental, as a descriptor, not as a fact. The first thing that comes out, oh, he's Chinese. You don't know if he's Filipino. You don't know if he's Indonesian. You don't know if he's Malaysian. You don't know if he's Korean, South Korean, North Korean. You don't know if he's Japanese. Do you understand? This is what lefty, Labour, neo-Marxist education does to people. It tears people up or pits people against each other. They fight about nonsenses rather than asking themselves the questions. One, does it make sense?
So let me ask you a question. Sorry, let's cut it there. Let me ask you a question.
Sure, no problem. I'll just go on.
Yeah, what party political party you support then?
The microphone is very low, so please.
Well, no, what I'm saying is, what party do you support? What party do you belong to? Conservative?
Well, when I was a kid, I voted as my mum did. She was, pretty much Labour. And then one day I said, I'm not too sure. I'm seeing something here that doesn't make sense. But it's supposed to be for me, but it looks like you're kicking my ass. You're kicking my ass! You seem to be kicking my ass up and down the high street here. Why am I supporting you? And then you got Diane Abbott, who once was my local MP. And that encounter was shocking. And then I said, yo, why are we giving these people anything? Not even this quote-unquote sister likes you. And then we get to find out why. She was lusting after a married man named Jeremy Corbyn all them years back while punching the air, giving it like the right on Sister Act. And Sister Act it was. Because we know full well She didn't care about the brothers and wasn't even going to look to bring up a brother. So you asked the question, what party? I think the party that makes sense for the agenda of most importance today. And the party that makes sense for the agenda most important today, that will be the party who is nationalist, i.e. those who paid in to make the United Kingdom what it is. That means there's a lot of white people, millions of them in this country, whose forebears died from black lung in the mines up and down this country, who didn't get any health benefits in the steel mills. There are people of different hue, i.e. the people of Caribbean hue, who were enslaved and who helped to build vast amounts of the cities of the major cities of this country, who don't get reparations. Well, if we've got an argument tabled, then and we want to have an educated voice with the right questions formulated and the correct argument to put forward, because we were too young and naive, and we had traitors acting like they were working for our behalf, but really they weren't. They were self-serving gits. That time will come. It's a bit like having a kid and you say, well, don't worry, son, one day you can shave when you're old enough. So you don't need to worry about those things right now. You know what I mean? One day we grow up. One day we become educated. One day we understand how we were played and fooled. And then one day we put down the correct argument. And then that day comes when you win your case. The point is the party that stands for the United Kingdom.
What party
At this moment, we have a war going on within the Tory party, because you've got Theresa May, who I kind of figure, and I think most people who understand what the argument is probably think she is a Remainer who's trying to enslave the UK by any means foul, by every means foul. My argument to the Tory party is, why did you... I know what it is, vagina politics, isn't it? This gynocentric culture, you have to have a woman, because for some reason they make it up and say men, the patriarchy, has always wanted to keep women down. They never wanted to share power with them, never wanted to give them their space. Or this is absolute nonsense, and again I will shoot that down. It's not difficult to do. It really isn't difficult to do. I'll tell you what is difficult is loudmouths, feminists, who will refuse to debate you. If they're so strong with their argument, that's fine. Done with it. But they won't. Because it's all a lie. It's all based on a lie. In fact, much of what we're taught today is based upon a lie. So it takes people like myself and others, there are many others, who actually fathom out and figure it out and pay out their own money to read the books, read the journals, find out what was said, and to correct what the illusions and assumptions are that people live by and willing to fight and die for, in the most part.
Okay, but I'm still waiting for you to tell us the party that you belong to, Adrian.
I don't belong to a party, but I mean, if you're going to ask me if there was a vote tomorrow, and the only party at the moment that is saying Brexit means Brexit, break away from the enslaving gang of Euros of Africa, then I'm going to say, I'm not part of you. I will vote with the Tories for the UK's independence, and therefore a chance to encourage the Africans to remove themselves from the EU, because they're enslaving you. And we all know what France is doing to its former colonies. If you don't know that, I just don't get it. Okay,
so as far as you're concerned, yeah, what nationality are you?
I'm a son of the soil. I was born here. I had no choice in the matter. It was fertile ground for my mother and father, and so therefore, I'm English. I'm born here.
Oh, so you're English.
Born in Islington.
But you could say you're African, could you, if you wanted to, didn't you?
Well, no, that doesn't make any sense at all, and I'll explain why that doesn't make any sense at all. It never makes sense. I'll say this: anything that comes from the Pan-Africanists, run the other way. The Pan-Africanists in this country that you've heard of, just this country alone, every year they're celebrating African Liberation Day. Why nobody said, well, hang on a minute, which part? What? You act as if Africa's the country. And as a collective, where is it liberated? Why would you be celebrating? Are you lying? Are you telling a whopper here? What do you do on that day exactly? Oh, Kwanzaa. And you invented Kwanzaa. Oh, really? You're supposed to be genuine? You're legitimate? For real? And if we don't like your way of thinking, then we is coon, we is sellout, we is COINTELPRO. Really? I mean, really? Is that where we're going with this?
Yeah, well, I spoke about the bullyism and the non-minds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What we experience today, that people are bullying us to accept a tag that because I tell by the way you speak, and tell by the way that I speak, obviously, whether you want to look at it as a son of a soil or you was accidentally born here, but your language, your speech betrays you, brethren, and shows you that you were brought up here. And it really does my head in when I see people from Africa, the leaders. Why have all the leaders speaking good English? Have you noticed that?
Oh, because most of them.
I've been brought up in Oxford, educated in Oxford.
Listen, don't go there, because I could say a lot that would really, really knock a lot of people. It would be true though, but it would knock a lot of people, and it's not the fertile ground for me to go in on that topic. It just isn't, right? And it's nothing to do with hatred here. It's about dealing with what is as opposed to what you think is or what they think is. The assumptions, you know, people are going to argue in a barbershop over and probably choke Trump. None of them right. None of them understand. They just listen to their hearsay mob who celebrate African Liberation Day every year. And Kwanzaa, I'm like.
But do you think we're worrying about a little minority? I think sometimes we over egg the pudding and overshoot the runway. It's only a minority, and I think we should really leave them alone. Really, when you think about it.
Well, you know, I used to think that as well, and then you have to read history to realize this is a minority now. But if something ever happens, who do you think the mainstream media is going to pull up to talk to? Who do they always talk to? It ain't you. The viewpoint comes from that minority you dismiss. They then become a powerful voice. And they then become movers and shakers in how the policy is going to affect you, home and abroad. These people will put out all manner of nonsense. It's not easy to take over a country, but you must have that viable little minority that keep banging on until they're ready to be activated. And then they marshal their troops, and then you find out there is intersectional warfare between Asians and African Caribbeans because they use the media to tell you some story about 19 Asians raped some poor girl who couldn't speak and go to the police because she was an immigrant, and so therefore, and all of a sudden, what you cannot afford, you find yourself in getting an arse whooping. But this is what they do. At any time they get a chance to divide and conquer, well, that's what they're there for.
Yeah, but I noticed you were struggling when I asked you about your identity. You had a lot of things before you actually said.
I said I was English.
Yeah, right. Because but you said a lot of things before you finally said that you found yourself here. Parents.
We were talking about what party. When you said what party, I went to kind of give background before I actually.
Right. So I was saying, but we don't need. You know, we make it sound like when we say we're British, like it's a surprise. And I'm telling people that we've been hearing for the longest of time. We've been here in Britain from the I just use a very acceptable figure, 700s. But we're here way before that. From the Roman days, we were here, brethren.
Let me explain something, which I had to break it down to. Well, anyway, because it sounds like you like to blow your own trumpet, and I really don't. Generally, just want to tell you as it is. So I'll do the same thing. Britain is a nickname. Nobody knows where it comes from. What's it, Little Brittany? This is Greater Britain because of Brittany Emperor. Nobody knows. So it's not even legal. It's just something that has been foisted over from the Roman times. Bottom line is, if someone says, what nationality are you? Then you're an idiot if you say British, because how is Britain a nationality? I mean, it's not a trick question. If someone says, what is your nationality? I'm enunciating it that way to tell you that you can't say Britain, because Britain is not a nation, is it?
Okay, Reese, listen, I've got another call coming in, but let's take that call, right? And because we've been in it for a while, they can call back later, yeah? Let's give a chance if someone's coming. All right, enough respect. Cool. Cheers. Okay, you're in tune to the People's Talk Show. 127, are you there? Okay, 127, want to call back, please, if you like. The line is now free. But there we had Reese telling us his opinion. Obviously, you know that, by the way, we are British. One sec. Come on. You're live on Genesis. Fire.
Hello.
Yeah, hiya.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How you doing?
Not too bad.
Pardon?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks.
Okay. What it is, I just wanted. It's a quick one because I'm in a hurry.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'm British. I don't see myself as British. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I see myself as Afro-Caribbean or West Indian. My mum's from Trinidad, my dad's from St. Vincent, and the reason is this: I used to call myself British, and when people used to ask me, I'd say, yeah, black British, and I'd get into arguments. People say, how can you be black and how can you be British? Obviously, on my passport, it says my nationality is British. The thing is, I went to a citizenship ceremony the other day, and I was sitting back and I was watching all of these people, and I was observing their excitement. And when the person finished, they came over and they said, oh, can you open my flag? Can you open my flag? I said, what do you mean? She said, oh, can you open my flag and like put it on? So I said, put it in your bag. She said, what do you mean put it in your bag? I said, look, it doesn't matter if you wear a British flag, and it doesn't matter if you have citizenship. You are Trinidadian. That's not going to change. You are who you are. Do you understand? And I said, well, myself as a British person, I don't feel I'm treated fair. So if I don't feel that I'm British and I'm treated fairly in my own so-called country, should I say, what do you think you're going to get treated?
Yeah, but
how do you think you're going to get treated?
But listen, you say that as an opinion that you're not being treated fairly in your own country, but that is the case for a lot of people. Even white people don't think they're so it's a political thing you're talking about, really, here, you know. It's not how you feel. You feel inwardly, your consciousness. Then you told a lady that she was, and I think that was kind of wrong. Still, for you to tell a lady that you're trying to convince that no matter what she does, no matter how much she now feels she's British since she's done through the ceremony, that she is Trinidadian. But how do you know she wants to be Trinidadian though?
She doesn't, obviously.
No, that's not wrong with that.
Little girl.
Not wrong with that.
But then you can't. Okay, let me give you a prime example. If you're not born in Britain, but you grew in Britain, and when you see certain things you don't like, you're talking about you British. You British. You British. Now, hang on a minute. So you're saying that us British have no behaviour, us British have no manners, us British have no common sense, are not educated, but yeah, you want to be British. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, no, that's a bit deep to say things like that, because don't forget, you know, if she refers to you British and then she reverts back to being British, it's only because maybe she hasn't really completely given herself over to be. What is British anyway? What does it mean to be British?
What? I couldn't tell you, because like I said, I was born here, and from a little girl who grew up in a all-white area to a teenager, suddenly moving into an all-black area. I was absolutely baffled and amazed because I hadn't seen black people before then. And then becoming an adult, observing situations and different people and mixing with different cultures of my own choice from the age of 16, which I wasn't allowed to. I had to do that behind my parents' back. Because
Why?
I wasn't, because they didn't want me to associate with the British. They have no behaviour.
Hold on. Something wrong there.
Indians.
You said they didn't want you to associate with the British who had no behaviour.
Correct. My first boyfriend was, I say Caucasian. People say to me they don't know why I call it Caucasian, but I say Caucasian, a white guy. Yeah?
And you're black, obviously. You're black, yeah?
Yeah, I'm black. Okay. And what happened was, I dated him in secret because my mum was absolutely... My dad wasn't too fussed because he dated Caucasian women. But I didn't tell my dad anyway. But I kind of undercover because I felt I need to get to know this person properly and whatever before I take the risk, and quote the word risk, of bringing him to my home. So I'm 16 years old.
Yeah.
I'm at the end of the balcony talking, a couple of other friends there. My mum's come down the balcony, and my mum told him, she didn't know who he was, I don't know if she'd heard, but she told him about his white self, and she totally embarrassed me, told me to get in the house, you're not dating no white man, blah, 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 blah. I said, okay, I continued to date this guy, but then my brother passed, and then my mum went to him and said to him, it's okay. So, if he needs a friend right now, obviously her brother's passed, spend time, which is very contradictory. But at the same time, in my heart, I knew it's hypocrisy. Because I know that even now, to this day, years and years later, I've got my kids, I've got my grandkids, and the attitude is still the same. Do you understand?
Is it?
So, yeah, it is. It's exactly the same. But what happened for a period of time, myself, as a black woman, I said, I do not want because my girls are mixed race.
Yeah, obviously.
And I said to them, I don't want you dating no white man. If you date a white man, that's it, the black's gone. Like,
hold on. Did you tell your daughter that?
I told my daughters that. Yeah. No, but I'm telling you, because you know why? Because even though I knew it was wrong, it's what was installed in me, that it's wrong to date outside of your race. That was being installed in me. But what I did, I was like, I remember my daughter came home with a white guy. I did not run him, I did not disrespect him. I just said to my daughter, you know what, what's that white boy doing at my door?
Yeah, but her father's white, though, come on.
No, but you're not understanding where I'm coming from. What my fear was not the mixed relationship. My fear was the black being washed away.
But why did you wash away the black? You see?
Do you know why I washed away the black? Because I've never seen and never met a positive black man at that stage in my life. Growing up, I never had that positive male role model. What men of colour that I did associate with, and I say of colour because I don't just mean black, I mean Indian as well, and like a couple of other cultures, I never saw anything positive. I just saw negative things. So in my eyes, I thought, being like naive, I thought dating outside, I would have a different relationship because, I don't know, people always put different people on a pedestal, don't they? And then I obviously, as I got older now...
What? Has it changed for you now? There is positive black people now. You realise that, right? Or what?
No, do you know what? I have to say this. There are some wonderful black people. There are some wonderful white people, Indians,
yeah, of
Turkish,
course.
Chinese.
Yes,
there is wonderful people in
everywhere.
Obviously, I had to learn for myself that we are all the same. We all men, regardless of their nationality.
Yeah. You've
got good and you've got bad, but it hadn't been installed in me. I had to observe it. I had to learn. I had to adapt. When I was at school, I was always quiet because I wasn't 100% sure. Do you understand? Even though when I was at school, I was bullied by a Caucasian guy.
Yeah.
Hit in the face with rulers, all sorts. Until one day I just said, because I was always told, you don't hit back, you don't hit back, you don't hit back. And I don't, every situation I'd seen with a male and a female, if they fought back, they got beat. And then one day I just said, you know what, I can't take being bullied no more. And this boy wailed my whole face, the side of my face, and I got up, looked at the teacher, looked at him and started laughing. I said, I wouldn't do that again if I was you. He pulled a chain out of his trousers. This is within the schools, in front of the teacher. The teacher wasn't saying a word. And I said to myself, you know what? This looks like this is life or death. I've never come across this kind of person before. pulling a chain out of his trousers in school. So I said to myself, you know what, I have to make this guy know what time it is. I gave him one punch, he went across the table. And you see, from that day, we became, to this day, we became the best of friends. Do you understand?
Okay,
because I showed him, you know what, don't underestimate people. And it made me sit down and think about life and everything. And my kids, they can date who they want. Right now, they can date who they want anyway, they're adults. But what I mean is, in my eyes, so long as you treat them good, treat them with respect, I'm happy, I'm cool, I don't mind.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
And it doesn't change who I am as a person, because I have my own views. But to be honest, when it comes to the Black British thing, I know many people that actually feel like me. And the thing is, why I say it's not fair, all right, let me give you an example. I went to the shop. I used to wear weave all the time. And I went to the shop. I have locks now. And I went to the shop and I walked into the shop. I'm being followed. Yeah? Ran the shop. Extensions or locks, I'm being followed. And I said, excuse me, you need to follow somebody who's not going to pay for their stuff. How many times have I been in there and I've never stolen? Oh, no, it's not that. You know, you blacks have a bad reputation. Hang on a minute. What do you mean? So that's like, obviously, that's that individual, but a lot of people in this country, they have hidden views. Do you understand? When you can be friends with that person at school, but when you bring them home, oh no.
But let me tell you this, it's a shame, it's a shame that you feel that way about being black and British, not because of the place you're in, but because of what your ancestors did here. We were the first people here. This used to be our backyard, brethren. So why shouldn't we be proud that our ancestors, we were the first ones that brought the Homo sapiens sapien, the first anatomical modern man was a black man, a Grimaldi man in Britain here, right? So we're the actual humans. First, we introduced the human gene. If you go far back as 40,000 years ago, I've got no qualms in me being black and British. The white people didn't invent Britain. It's not their land. They came into it as foreigners. But we are the lords. We are the lords here, brethren. So if I'm a lord,
are we though?
I'm a lord.
Are
so
we though?
Yeah, eh?
Are we though?
Of course we are.
2 months ago.
Yeah.
But, okay, I understand what you're saying. 2 months ago, I was driving, and it had those traffic lights, temporary traffic lights, but it had a gentleman with a stop and go sign. I wasn't aware the traffic light wasn't working. So I was sitting there and I was waiting because it said red.
Yeah.
The guy behind started blowing his horn after about 5 minutes. So when I looked, I saw that the guy had held a sign up. So as I drove down, I said to this gentleman, excuse me, love, the reason why I didn't come was because the light is red. You know, he told me, F off and go home.
Yeah.
F off and go home, you know.
Yeah.
So I was fuming. Because where am I going home to? Well, I was about to say where I'm from, but I won't do that. Where am I going home to? My house, which is round the corner. Like, what are you talking about? So I phoned. I just thought, you know what? I'm a person. I believe in power. Yeah. So what I did, I phoned. I wrote down the sign, what was on the sign, and I phoned the head office and I told them, and they was appalled. But this is another thing. Like, go back home. Where am I going?
Well, this is what I'm saying to you.
If I could jump on a plane. Myself, I'm speaking for myself, not other people, yeah? If I could jump on a plane and go to another country as my home, I would do it.
Why?
I would go back home.
Why?
Because, do you know why? Because in this country, our worth, my worth, the youth's worth, people's worth in general, they're not taught the value. When you go to school, they don't teach you to be powerful. They don't teach you to work for yourself. They don't teach you to be a leader. They teach you to work for your whole life.
Well,
they teach you to a level where they're encouraging you to learn, but not encouraging you to progress.
Well, put it this way.
We shouldn't have to give additional education to our. Obviously, there's Caucasian parents and that have to do it as well. But what I've observed through my children's schooling, which is we're going back from 30 years old to primary school, like what I've observed is you have to educate at home. No, I'm not talking about life skills. I'm talking about book-wise. I heard a teacher say that before they broke up, he only focused on the children that have a positive view to learning.
That's right. That's
hang on a minute. Right. So now I've got to come home and I've got to teach my child saying, but I'm at school, I'm learning all day at school. Why have I got to learn at home?
Yes, you've got to have a positive.
Teach child about value.
Yes.
About self-worth.
That's right.
Do you understand?
That's right.
See, so which makes me feel my child's not wanted. My word isn't listened to. When I go into school and I speak, my word's not listened to. I'm the aggressive black mother, even though I'm not saying not one word, I'm just standing there silent. And you've got the other parents, Caucasian parents and Turkish parents, fighting, tearing out each other's hair. They're allowed to stay there, but my silence is I'm aggressive. I'm angry.
Okay.
It's not because I'm aggressive and I'm angry, it's because I'm observing what kind of behaviour is this. Do you understand? How is this acceptable? Another parent verbally abused me in the school. I don't know what she was verbally abusing me for because I don't really mix with the parents. I come in, I say hi, how are you doing? If they talk to me, I talk to them. I'm more a loner. And I asked the lady a question and her head started swinging and she started telling me about myself. And so I had to say, look, and staff came out because they know I'm not a troublemaker in the office, and they came out and they said to me, everything okay? I said, look, I don't know what kind of caring community you've got coming into this school, but this behaviour is not acceptable, especially not in front of children. That's not setting no example. And this woman continued. They never told this woman a word. She continued. I went out in the playground. I'm doing my thing. The lady came behind me. The staff come out the building. Is everything okay? Is everything okay? Is everything okay? Why? Because I'm black, I'm of colour, I'm going to start fighting, or all the years I've been in this school, I've never caused no trouble, no arguments, no nothing. This woman's causing problems, because she was still standing there screaming and shouting. But when I turned around and said, you know what, if this woman says one more word to me, you're not going to like it. I'm telling you, you're not going to like it. They've assumed violence.
Okay.
They've assumed violence.
Okay,
I'm not that kind of person.
Okay.
My you're not going to like it is I will go above you. I will go to the authorities because that's not acceptable behaviour. That's how I deal with things. I go straight to the top. I want to see action. I don't want to hear your band don't come in the playground because you as staff, if you are not behaving in a way that you're showing the children in the playground, this behaviour is not acceptable.
Okay.
What's going on?
Oh, listen,
what's going on?
Okay, let's leave it at that then. You'll feel free to interject again when you like. I've got another caller trying to get in here. So what I want to do is thank you for your interjection. Well appreciated.
You're welcome.
And you can call at any time.
Have a pleasant afternoon. I'm off to see Sanchez and Barry Hammond right now. So.
All right then. Enough respect. Speak to you soon.
Okay.
Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Right on. You're in tune to Genesis Radio on the People's Talk Show. I know I've been trying to get a few callers kind of call in. What I want to do really is say that this is what is this. Okay. You're live on Genesis.
Yes, Heru. I thought I'd interject. There was an interesting conversation that was had. I suppose to the lady who just phoned in, and to anybody else, because this has affected a lot of people in our community, and I'd have to say the world over. Do not define your life or your actions because of one person's ignorance. Unfortunately, we have a government that seems to jump to the aid of any minority that makes a claim, doesn't ask for evidence, makes a claim, then there's legislation to back it. As stupid as it is, I am telling you, and I can go through the list of it. If someone tells you, the F word, go back home, fine. I'm home. There isn't really an argument. The second thing I want people to do, because it seems to me, it's all over WhatsApp. I mean, you give a mobile phone usually to females. If they're not looking at themselves doing makeup 50 times a day, they never seem to know when to pick up the mobile phone. Now, when the lady was being aggressive towards you, all you had to do was pick up the phone, and start filming it. That's it. Don't argue with her. At that point, you must use it like... Do you remember Star Trek when they come to a new town or a new place? They'll get out not the phases, they'll get out of what's name, they'll look at it, the texture of the landscape, and just bring out your mobile phone like Star Trek. Because at this moment, they're not acting humane, they're acting like aliens, stupid, ignorant. I don't get it, but I'm going to capture it. We can examine it and discuss how this humanoid or alienoid was acting. Got it on video. At which point, you're in a superior position, you could just ask the question, can you explain why you're having a go at me? No, I'm just asking you, can you explain? No, can you explain? Because I think I've apologised. I'm not quite sure if I need to apologise, but can you tell me why you're following me then? Do you know that you're being aggressive towards me? On camera. All of it on camera. And as for the staff, with their dynamic do-nothings, is everything all right when you know full well what's going on? You film them too and say, well, look, here's a member of staff or a parent acting out in front of children. This is not acceptable. Is it acceptable? You would like to remove her? You do it. It's a powerful position, and you can enact it any which way you want. That's just my example. It's a rough example. But I will say, sometimes just say nothing and walk away. Just say nothing and walk away. There's many a time people get into an argument, and they just don't know when you're not going to get anywhere with this argument, and somebody already has an agenda because they've got a knife in the back pocket. There's people around that's going to jump in and jump on you, and or for some reason, they've sized you up and said, I reckon I can take you. Or for whatever reason you can't imagine this person's having a go at you. You defeat them by taking what you might call the high road. If you intended to go to the shops, get your goods and go home because you've got things to do, having an argument in the centre of wherever it is with somebody stupid, only two madmen can have an argument. They understand each other. That's why they're arguing in the street and acting all inappropriate. But the person with the brains will say, oops, in his own head or her own head, I got myself into this. I poked a bee's nest. I need to extricate myself out of it because I promised somebody I'll be somewhere at a certain time, and they're always saying I'm never there on time. And if I engage with this thing, who knows where it's going to be, but it's going to get me late. I need to get home, and I don't need this. This was not part of my agenda when I left my house. If people did that more often, just be introspective and realize I'm going out to do X and Y. The minute someone tries to get me off that agenda, I have to realize it's nothing to do with cowardice. They ain't put their hand on you. It's not escalated to the point where it's not escalated when they're in your face and then a little spittle they say come in your mouth and you say, boy, you spit in my face, and then there's a fight. You keep them at arm's way and you leave. You just leave it alone. And if they follow, you've got your evidence on your mobile phone to say this person harassed me from ear to ear, from ear to ear, and most people would have snapped a long time ago. But I didn't. Do you know what I mean? So I wouldn't worry about somebody calling you a name with all the assumptions and the connotations that go with it, especially if your heritage is part Caribbean and you're a daughter of the soil. Number one, British, I'll say it again, I'm not quite sure people heard it, British is not a nationality. It is a descriptor of a region with several nationalities. If somebody asks you for your nationality and you say British, then you're not answering their question. And if they accept it, they are being racist to the actual individuals who actually would like to answer that question and say, I'm Welsh. That is my nationality. That's the country, the landmass where I was born. British is not. I've heard a lot of people, but you know, if you give enough people enough dialogue, they repeat it. They don't think through anything. And unfortunately, we've got whoever the leaders are or were in this community, in the African American community. You know, it only lasts for a time. It only lasts for a time. Now, outside of that, you've got individuals. I have to say, I am also one of them, who go against that grain and correct what it is. I don't own it. I just happen to see what it is and have a joy in speaking the truth to power. Because the more you speak of it, the more people realize and they free themselves from the shackles of what you call bullying. the cult of the collective. We've got to stick together, even though the ship's going down. I mean, belittling people for the choices they make, like they're the bedroom police. I don't get it myself. Everybody's got an individual journey, and that's what I'd really like to say at this moment. And I'll wait to see if the new topics come in. I don't think I want to add any topics at this moment in time.
Okay, thank you
for your time.
Enough respect. All right, there. You're in tune to Genesis Radio and it's the People's Talk Show.
Hello?
And thank you very much for that, Reese. Enough respect. Bless up.
Hello?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Wow.
Reese, can you hear me? Oh, man, go on. Yeah, I was saying thank you for that, Reese. Let me just... Why did that phone go like that a minute ago? Wow. Okay, phones. The number is 07404 367618, and I repeat 074. And okay, you're live on Genesis.
Hi, Heru.
Hiya.
Fiona.
How you doing?
Hey.
Nice one.
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How
nice
are you
one.
doing?
Oh, not too bad. Nice to hear you.
Yeah, vice versa.
Yeah, man.
Vice versa. Yeah, you were asking the question of nationality, or you were talking about nationality.
Yeah, nationality, yeah.
And what we would describe ourselves as.
That's right.
Yeah. This is my 2 pence. I think maybe part of the problem is that we're viewing nationality as if it's a subjective thing, when really nationality is just which country you're a citizen of.
That's right.
So, if you're a citizen of Britain, then that makes you someone of British nationality. You could have dual nationality, so there's many people that have 2 passports. You know what I mean? There's many people that have a Jamaican passport as well as a UK passport.
Yeah.
So nationality is more of a factual thing. It just is what it is. But of course, we can identify ourselves in the context of our culture. So a lot of us identify with our Caribbean culture. Some of us identify with our African culture. Sometimes I think we kind of like muddy the waters and blur the lines of what is and what isn't. Nationality is different from culture, and
that's right.
In my opinion, it's not a subjective thing. You don't get to pick and choose which nationality you are. Like, for example, I could identify as being, I don't know, Jamaican, Caribbean. But if I go to Jamaica, they know full well I'm not Jamaican. Who am I fooling? If I'm born and bred in this country, does that not make me? And I've also got the British citizen. Does that not make me British?
Of course.
Just by default.
That's right.
That's my view on nationality, anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how important it is, to be honest.
Well, you know why I think it's important. It's the mindset, the consciousness. When you walk around, when we live amongst people, other nations, they would already have a view of you and as what? As nobody, as just another citizen. But if we were to come into our right order of things, say, we had history here, you understand what I'm saying? And of importance, it is the fact that we're not just anybody, because we were once rulers here, brethren. You see, that's very important, because otherwise we'll be having the stigma of being brought here as slaves or on a Windrush, or we just come here in 1950. And a great important part of history has been wiped out.
Yeah.
Because we allowed Europeans to wipe out all of that history.
Yeah. You know what? I'm in agreement with you when you say, well, it's important.
Yeah, it is very important
for us to know our history and to understand the historical context of how we got to be here in the first place.
That's right, very important.
Because history places you, you know what I mean? It shows you how you got here, why you got here, and it gives you all the nuances and the details that would otherwise be missed.
For your psychology.
Like
yes, for your psychology.
Well, that's right. And it's just like the whole narrative with slavery.
Yes.
How many times have we said before that although chattel slavery, yes, it was completely different from the slavery before, which was indentured, servitude.
That's right, yeah.
Most races went through slavery at some point. And even the word race, back in the day, race wasn't defined by your skin colour. Race was more defined on where you were from. So at one point, for example, Irish was even considered a race.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
And you see, and it's the importance of knowing what has happened historically.
Yes.
That gives you an understanding of how you got here and how much of a farce this whole thing of race actually is. Race is nothing more than a social construction. And I'm going to say that, right? Because at the end of the day, I know there's a lot of talk about social constructionism, yeah?
Yeah.
And especially in terms of people believing that they're transgender, whatever. But I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about someone coming along and saying, even though you've got a certain type of genital, you can be something else. I'm talking about the actual construction that began somewhere around the 1400s.
That's
where
right.
It was decided that, I think it was the Council of Nicaea, that they needed to create an ideology which would justify chattel slavery.
That's right.
Right? And here we are, constantly killing ourselves and you know, just going through all the rigmarole of something that is based on a social construction. It's real. The effects are real, no doubt, because we understand racism, we understand the discrimination that we go through on a daily basis, but we should actually be fighting that social construction because it's not even real.
That's right. It's in the mind. Because if our children are walking around being abused back in there like, you blacks, go home, we've accepted that. You know what I mean? Instead of saying, what do you mean? See, because the history has been wiped out. I say that we used to run things here, brethren. Even in Romans, if you go back as far as Roman time, Septimus Servius and his son Caligula were black.
Absolutely.
So
another thing,
go on.
Sorry, no, you go on.
No, I was just saying that. So if we tell our children the history, we're not going to say the true history means Africa. No, you're jumping the gun because you've forgotten about the history that will settle our minds here and settle the minds of the Caucasians who decided to lie about our history here.
It's like you're saying, half of the story
has not been told.
Only half of the story has been told, and that is so true because we left a mark everywhere on this world. That's a fact.
I'm telling you.
We were in the Roman. We were there in the Roman times. We were there in the Greek civilization.
Oh man!
We're well aware of our role within the ancient Egyptian or Kemet civilization.
You see?
And here's a funny thing. You know, before this whole inception of race based on skin color, what you had, like for example, we talked about this before in Egypt. You know, which was actually very multicultural because you had, you know this.
Yeah.
And but they were fiercely protective over their borders.
Yes.
They viewed anyone from outside of Egypt as an outsider.
They weren't racist.
They
weren't racist back in them days, you know.
This is what I'm getting at. This is what I'm saying right here. So it's not like they were racist towards each other, like, oh my God, you're black, you're white.
No way.
It wasn't like that. But they were very fiercely protective about who was coming from outside.
Territory,
even, I think it was the Greek civilization.
Yeah.
There was no concept
of race,
black, white, and all of that.
No.
What they had, it was very simple. You were either civilized
or uncivilized. Barbarian.
You understand what I'm saying? And you could be black and civilized, white and barbarian.
This is funny.
It's the truth I'm talking.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to show like the madness that has been concocted within a relatively sort of new period of time. You know, we're talking about a few hundreds back.
That's right.
Very, very a small, narrow time of windows.
They've managed to con us. They've managed, they've managed to con us, brethren, right out of it.
And another thing that really pisses me off, you know, we've had all of these slave movies, right?
Yeah.
Incidentally, you know, majority of them have been made by movie makers or whatever. And they never, ever go back to the very beginning of chattel slavery when you had the Irish slaves working alongside the recently
indentured slaves,
migrated African slaves, right? They never ever show that period of time and what happened. They never talk about the battle that ensued after that because you had them fighting, basically revolting together.
That's right.
Against these white slave owners, plantation owners. And after that rebellion, and there was a few rebellions like that, but there was one in particular that was, you know, that really shook them up. After that, in order to sort of protect their wealth and the industry, that was created by chattel slavery.
Mm-hmm.
They said, all right, we're going to give Irish their rights or whatever. In effect, the Irish became white.
Autonomy, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, because that's when there was a date when the whites brought in this word white. We didn't give them that name. They invented it for themselves.
Politically.
Politically.
And I so wish that we would educate ourselves a little bit more.
This
is when you talk about the importance of understanding history.
Yes, it's not African history. You don't have to go far back as Africa, because
world history. Because we're everywhere within the world.
Yeah, because
we're not just there in one part. We're everywhere in this entire.
All right, because they tell us this lie about slaves were taken from Africa in the part. Not all the slaves or the people who they captured came from Africa. Black people was in the Iberian Peninsula for thousands and thousands and thousands
of years. Well, check this, Heru. Even before chattel slavery began, officially as an institution, you even had Africans who had come to America, not as slaves, but as free people.
Exactly.
As free people. And that was long before chattel slavery even.
That's right.
And these same ones that had come over there before, slavery, some of them were merchants. They were doing all sorts of different things. Some of them even owned slaves themselves.
Of course.
To show you how nuanced
serious thing
history actually is. But they give you this very simplistic, black and white understanding of a very tiny part of history.
Narrow-minded history.
Very narrow. And use that to try and formulate how you should be thinking about yourself. And I agree with you. I think that has been really damaging to our conscience. We've been very damaging to our self-esteem as well.
Yeah, because we've been conned out of our position here, our psychology here, and not made to make you think that we're glad it's grateful to be here or we're beggars to be here. When in actual fact, our ancestors built this place, not on the blood, not on slavery. I'm not talking about things were built by Tate and Lyle. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the actual foundation of Western society, civilization began with us included in the birth of their nation, of the birth of the white nation. We've always been there as the.
Of course, we've always been there.
As the mother, father then, and the mothers then.
Yeah.
And when we,
you
go on.
Yeah, there's lots of books that attest to our greatness. Put it like that.
Yeah.
The fact that they learned within our universities.
Fine.
We were very much part of society wherever you went. Whether it was Europe, whether it was Africa, we were part of. The society was very much multicultural back then.
So this idea.
Remember, you didn't have the concept of race.
No.
Back then either. That's another thing.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? How
fairly recent thing.
How nice that would have been. Can you imagine a time without racism, brethren? So the whites weren't always racist. They were not always racist.
No, they weren't always.
Because you had black emperors, of Rome, black emperors. You tried.
Well, you have Hannibal for a start.
Well, the difference is.
The Roman general, wasn't he?
Yeah, the difference is here. You try thinking about a black prime minister in England. Oh no! What do you mean? Oh no! You had black Roman emperors, brethren. So to be a little minister here in Britain is no big thing. You know what I'm saying? And we lose out.
Wasn't Queen Charlotte mixed race?
Yes, the Queen's great grandmother.
There you go. So this is nothing new at the end of the day.
No, but you see, if we don't teach our children, if we jump straight to Africa without filling the rest of the missing links in the middle, we would never give we jump from Caribbean straight to Africa and bypass the real history here, where we don't walk around as slaves, brethren. We don't walk around here as strangers or somebody.
Heru, right?
Yeah.
This is why we need to really understand what ideology is.
Yeah, for real.
And we need to understand the purpose that certain narratives play upon.
Yes.
And the purpose it serves. The reason why we're only given a certain history in its very narrow form.
Yeah.
It's because a narrative is being presented to people a certain way.
That's right.
So that's why they got to run with this whole slave narrative all the time.
And these back to Africa groups always build on that. That's what they built on. Yes, you're a slave.
Yeah.
They don't want us to know that we were lords here. We came as conquerors. I can go back as far as 40,000 years. The Grimaldi man who introduced the human gene here. The Homo sapiens sapien. So our children should not be told that there are visitors here. They must be told.
Not. I mean, who do you think was responsible for them structures in Stonehenge?
Oh, no,
that was the Grimaldi's, wasn't it?
Yes.
Right. I mean, this is what I'm saying. This is why, going back to your point, it's so important to really understand the full history of things.
Yeah.
And try to read from many different types of books, not just one type of book.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, try and actually go and experience things for yourself, travel the world. Basically have an open mind and learn as much as you can, because it makes you a better, more well-rounded person.
We're learning the wrong history. We are learning the wrong history about African...
I agree with you there. And don't you find it very interesting, as I say?
Yeah.
Even though, we're taught a very basic story of slavery in schools, but they never ever mention the fact that they themselves were enslaved in those American colonies. They never talk about the battle.
That's right.
And there was the uprising of white and black slaves together, and they don't talk about what happened, the change that created politically, and what we've been dealing with ever since.
That's right.
The fact that a certain group of people was given privilege in order to keep the status quo in place, and nothing has changed as far as I'm concerned. That's what we're still dealing with to this day.
Okay, but hear this now. So when we're talking about inheritance, how do we know that none of us here are owners of loads of properties here that our predecessors, what they took away from the law, the black nobles, right? If we could, you're talking about looking for his land in Africa. This land here, right, could have been the subject of, we could be the owners of pieces of land here that we know nothing about. They've hidden that history. They wiped it out. So when we're talking about looking, we are they had this thing in years ago about the black nobility. The black nobility, you'd be surprised if you studied the black nobility here. The black knights and them kind of thing there. You understand what I'm trying to say, Bridget? Yes. Yeah. And we shouldn't be walking around here as strangers or as foreigners, Bridget. When I step on the streets now, I walk around as a lord.
I to tell you the truth, I've never really felt like a foreigner,
You never, intuitively, you never felt, you know what I mean?
Probably because I was born here and I've grown up here.
Yeah.
I don't feel like a foreigner.
You're black European. We are black Europeans, Bridget. We got black.
Well, I mean,
that is that's why I said, should we shy away from those words? Should we shy away from being called black British? Why not? Why should we shy away from that? When we spend centuries here, from 700s going right back to 40,000 years, brethren. Come on. When are we?
No, I've got to agree with you there, because I mean, African Americans, as they call themselves, they have their own history, which is very distinct from our experience.
That's right.
Different people that settled in Britain.
Different.
You're quite right. We've been here for many generations now. We're not new to this.
No.
We're not some like Johnny come lately that just arrived the other day. We've been here for a while.
You know what I mean?
We've laid our roots here. You know what I mean?
What?
We've got our children here and whatnot. Whether we like it or not, we are part of the fabric of society. And I mean about just dealing with facts.
Yeah.
Yeah. We get emotional about every little thing, and we try to handle things subjectively. When sometimes, whether you like it or not, it just is what it is.
That's right.
Simple. As I said, doesn't mean to say that we don't identify with our culture. We have our culture. But anyway,
man.
That could be your cue to say that someone is
that's right.
on the line.
Thank you. Enough respect, me.
Right,
yes. Okay, respect our time. Hello. Listen. Yeah, I gave you the wrong number. You ready for the right one? You ready for the right one? Hello? Yeah, are you ready for the right one? Caller. Oh man. Hello? Okay, sorry for that caller. You're ringing a private number there. I gave you the wrong numbers. Sorry, and I do apologize. If you're listening, let me give you the right number. 07. Hold on a minute. Yo, bro, are you ready for the right number? I know I'll give you the wrong number. I'm gonna give you the wrong number, but let me. Oh, yeah, all right, yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right, let me give you the right number now. Yeah, so you can call in, yeah? Okay. Caller, you still there?
Hello.
Yeah, okay. You're live on Genesis. Fire.
Yes, can hear you clearly.
Okay. Yeah, fire.
Listen, earlier on in your opening statement, I heard you talking about doing some stewarding down at Millwall.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you have to speak a bit louder because your phone's very low at the moment.
Mine is low?
Yeah, very low, yeah.
Hang on a second. How about now?
Yeah,
Is
go
that
on. Yeah, go on. That's better. Yeah, fire.
Yeah, so in summing up, I heard you saying nobody was calling you any names as they were leaving. Everybody was happy.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, well, don't you think there were people in the crowd that didn't recognize you from back in the days?
Yeah, of course there was.
Yeah, right. So they're not going to mess with you. They know who you are.
That's true.
Yeah, there would have been some grandfathers in there.
Yes, I've seen them, brethren. I've seen the ones you can tell, the old rednecks.
Yeah.
You can tell them.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They knew I was. I knew who they were. They knew who I was.
Oh, okay. Well, listen. I think last week's show, we heard a couple of voices from back in the past, and we were grateful to hear their contribution.
That's right.
But I think we were there thinking indoors. We were thinking, perhaps when you do your People's Talkshow, perhaps you should do it with like-minded presenters. You used to have a young lady on your late-night shows that complimented you beautifully.
Oh, yeah, yes, Sister Dion.
Yes. So I think you're probably going to get people ringing that don't agree with you.
Yeah.
Which is fine. But I don't think there should be a discord within the studio.
Okay.
So,
yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Yeah. So if we could not have that in future.
Okay. Yeah, point taken.
That sort of stuff that went on last week. It's not necessary.
I know that. Yeah.
It's not necessary. So perhaps like-minded opinions in the studio, or if not, you just host it by yourself.
Okay. Yeah, man. Point taken.
Yeah,
Man. Yeah, man.
The last caller we were listening to, you were complaining that, well, you were just saying that I'm a little bit low. That last caller, we would call about last 15 minutes. That sounded like a juicy conversation, but again, that was quite low as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and all the other ones prior to that seemed to be of adequate volume.
Oh, man. And I've got everything full up here now. I don't know what's happening with that one.
Yeah. But I can hear you very clearly this end. I don't know how I'm going to be sounding over the ear, but I can hear you pinpoint.
Okay.
But apart from that, everything's good.
Enough respect, man.
I'm out.
Bless up all the time. Thank you for that. Okay, numbers for calling are 074 04 36 7618. And I repeat, 074 04 36 7618. We'll bring you into the studios. You can also text on a few texts. Let me read some texts here. Text on are there any texts here? Let's see. Yeah, text says, turn up the phone volume. We can't hear. Hold on. Woo! Turn up the phone. Wait, come here. Text in said, Heru, the bed wench caller was all over the place talking about stop signs in the schools and her white man and her not wanting her mixed kids to date white men all over the place. Okay, that's your feeling. Thank you. Text and says, turn up the volume. We can't hear them. You can, but we can't. And I'm trying to attend to that. I don't know. I've turned the phone volume right up. And why is this thing not responding properly? I don't know. I'll see what I can do anyway. Heru, can't get through. Okay, that's the wrong number. I'm terribly sorry. That number, I gave out the wrong number because that's the one that that's told. So 242, if you're listening, let me give you the number one more time. The number is 07440 370202. I know you've been trying to get through, and it is frustrating, and I know that. Right on. Let me see. You're live on Genesis.
At last. Oh my God.
Aha. Sorry about that.
Heru, man.
It's my fault.
You know when you see that, Heru, you know when you see them things and the man turn into a skeleton.
Yeah.
To try and get through, bro.
Oh no. Sorry. Yeah. He died with a phone in his hand, skeleton. Yeah, I know them thing there.
But bro, what it is, you need, like the brother before saying is, you need a producer or an engineer. It's not, I know it's not your trial thing. You know, I know the technical side is not your fault. It's not your thing.
Not my fault. Yeah.
So I can't complain. So I have to say to Dennis Rowe, bro, if you got a station, you know what I mean, that's a radio station, the first priority is that you need to hear.
That's right. But he's listening.
Like the brother was saying before, right? You got to touch up you got to pull up the
phone volume
with the callers.
Everything's full up, brethren. Everything's full up. I've got everything up. I've got all the buttons.
You got to turn up. You got to turn up the gain.
I turn all of that. All of that top. Yeah, they're all turned up at the top. All the gains are up, brethren. And I don't know why.
Anyway, I know the technical things. So anyway, I was just frustrated, bro. Right?
Yeah, I know it must have been for you, but I apologise still.
But the thing is as well, even when you got the call, you picked up the callers, right? What did you say? Look, let me just read out the number first before you know, because it's like you got people like Reese coming on here. Hey, Brethren, why not phone up LBC with them shit, Brethren? Hey, Brethren, call up LBC with them shit. Yeah, or go and see a therapist, brother. Seriously, it's frustrating. What it is, right? You had a sister on before where you missed the point, and this is the thing. The sister called up. She was telling you certain things about her past. Yeah. These are the things, man. The reason why your show is good because you need to touch on people ain't clued up to no history or back to Africa. What they're telling you is about what's happening. Yeah. In what's happening when they step out a road or in their yard.
That's right. Yeah.
The sister told you that her father, she brought home a white man. Yeah. And her father, she got the go ahead, right? Because her father dated white men. Yeah. You got to look at these are the issues. Stop talking about back to Africa and history. I'm a man of history, right? But the people ain't connected to no history. No. The woman wants to know what I gathered from that sister was the black man cannot protect me, bro. Okay. So that's why I went to the white man. Okay. I'm reading between the lines here, but that's what that's the kind of thing I'm looking at. And these are the issues. The sister said. Right? Even though she went to the white man, she was concerned of washing out her... I had to write down notes, you know, Heru.
Yeah, man.
Hey, serious, man. Yeah. Serious, I'm frustrated, man, because...
But you know what? The question is for you, how do you see yourself? Were you born here? Were you born here?
Bruv, I was born here, but what I'm trying to say, I'm a student of history, so what I'm trying to say is, like you're saying, I don't even start from where you're starting from, the Grimaldi, man. I go from, there was no other man on the planet before I was here. Take that in your pipe and smoke it, bro. There was no other people on the whole planet apart from black people, yeah? So that's where I start from, yeah? So I don't go into those things, you know what I mean? But what I'm trying to say is that the normal person on the road, the person who stab up themselves in Peckham and disavow themselves, they're not going to say to you, you know what, bruv, I'm the first man. They're going to stab at your bowels.
Of course.
They're not interested in that, you know what I mean? And no matter how, like I think you said that you actually, or someone said that they tried to tell them, they said they don't want to know. Yeah. They're not interested in the history.
No.
Because what it is, they have to know what they're feeding themselves and protecting themselves on the road.
That's right.
Let me just tell you this, right? I looked on Facebook and Cheryl Phoenix, this is the type of things, right? Cheryl Phoenix put out a thing where, did you know that there's a high percentage of black men that have sexual favours with black boys? So I say, what? Where? What are you talking about? Is this jail? I said, is this jail? And she said, no. This is what's happening on the road where these nutcases, these drug dealers might get someone hooked on drugs. Yeah. And then they can't afford to pay. So they get them doing sexual favors. Yeah, but these are not boys. These are not women. These are boys, man on man. So this kind of Batman homosexual thing is rife. I wasn't surprised when she said that because back in my day now, it would have been more women. I
If it was man and boys and all them things, I didn't know what was going on. It was more women. But now, from what she's saying, is that it's boys doing sexual favours, and this is black man. So these are the type of things which I think we're missing. When you get people like, I'm not even going to cuss Reese, you know what I mean? Because Reese, no, forget therapy. Or go on LBC and them things there, you know what I mean? Because, but what I'm trying to say is we're missing, when we talk, you always talk about them back to Africa, it's true. People don't want to hear, the sister, she's telling you, right, how she was growing up and she got bullied by a white man, tried to knock him out, brother. A woman. Where was her father? Where was her she's saying, look, and this is the same thing.
A lot of women like slavery. That. Yeah, there's a lot of women that experience that, actually.
Yeah, but because what she's realised, even though she's gone on to the other side, she's realised that even though you might have one or two white people that might be okay, the system of white extremism is the capitalism thing. It's set up to it's disenfranchise everybody apart from the elites, and it comes in an order. What? And we are at the bottom of that order. Right,
but listen, before you go into that, let me just ask you a question there concerning that very thing you're talking about now. If you were in power and you conquered people and you were at the top of the food chain, wouldn't you do similar, brethren, to keep the people under control?
No.
What?
No, because that you don't have to rule people with an iron fist.
But
as far as I'm. Yeah, go on, bro.
But that means, 1 minute, that means then, I don't know if you're viewing this properly, because conquerors, power corrupts, right? I'm telling you something. It's easy to say now. But if you found yourself in a position of power, a ruler, and you want to rule your people, you're going to find any means necessary to keep them under subject. So when you talk about white supremacy as a system, it's the conqueror's way of keeping people subjective, brethren. So if you're looking at the system itself and not looking at the fact that the conquerors rule as they will, you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yeah.
There's no morals. There's no. Go on.
The first thing I didn't say white supremacy. I said white extremism.
Extremism, same thing.
I don't know about that. Man. I don't know about that. There's a big difference as far as I'm concerned. You know what I mean? To me, there's no supreme thing. You know what I mean? It's white extremism. Yeah.
Go on.
But what I'm saying is, from my thing, I don't think you need to rule with that, because I think once you provide people with the basics, shelter, housing, food, education, or whatever, the people won't be in a state of
rebellion.
Wanting to tear. What in need. They won't be in a state of need and desperation.
Yeah,
so
but
if you look, I spoke to a sister, right? If you look at, she lived in Cuba. Now, if you look at the system in Cuba is like it's not
communist.
They would call it that's what they would call it. They would call it a communist country. But what she said is that she says in Cuba, they kind of provide
everything for them.
All housing,
and property
free, electricity free. You have certain education up to a certain thing, free, not free or subsidized or whatever.
Yeah,
and that system, as they're the first people to send their doctors. They got the highest doctors and disaster people. They send it to African countries. They're the first people to respond. They got the highest. But I heard that you can't leave the country, brethren. Well, that's what you heard. Have you been there? Because
no.
I know a party runner. Are you talking about the people that live there? Or
the people that live there. They heard that's why they don't send their people on the Olympics and them thing like that. I heard there was a big argument when the last Olympics, or two Olympics before, about the Cuban people. They're not allowed. They take away their passport. They got no passport, brethren. They provide them with everything necessary. But you see, there's always some catch in ruling, because the people.
Well. The thing is, though, I'm sorry to cut you, Heru, right? Look at the position of North Korea, right? You think anybody could come out of North Korea?
No.
And look at the position. They've attacked to George Bush like a idiot now.
Right.
And the same with China. China have to lock off their people for a certain amount of time to say, listen, brethren, we need to lock these people. We need to lock these people out until we can build up ourselves to power.
That's right. But so it's force. That's forcing them.
Yeah, but
you see,
that is forcing them, right? But what I'm trying to say is, I agree with what you're saying. There needs to be spot. When you're facing a system of these people who are trying to basically take over, steal your land, rape your women, you might have to do drastic measures, because what they've done is that they've locked up the borders, yeah. But after, look at them, they've become economically powerful or military powerful now. Now they can have talks with you.
That's why.
And they can let their people out.
That's why I asked you the question.
Let the people out. No.
Yeah, but you said you wouldn't rule with an iron fist. When I asked you the question, that's the same reason. I said, wouldn't you do it if you were in power? You said, no, I wouldn't. But now you're saying, now you're.
No, that's the difference between when you're dealing with. No, what I'm trying to say, you're dealing with outside powers and the people. If you're talking about defense of your people, yeah, and your people are fraternizing with the enemy, then you might have to take drastic enemies.
Well, that's what I said to you. But you said no, you wouldn't rule with an iron fist, bro.
That's not ruling. That's not ruling the people and giving them food and giving them house and land.
That is, if you can't let people do what they want, then if you're not going to let them do what they want, you're ruling them, brethren.
But as a leader, yeah, you got to take in the overhaul of the country, not the one. The power of the many is like I also watch Star Trek, Yeah. The many is more important than the one.
That's right, but in your case, that's why I ask you. Now you say that's what I said. When you're ruling somebody, the people do it to subject the people. It's been like that that's what humans do.
Okay, let me put it this way, Heru. Sorry to cut you. If you gave me an island, you say, Heru, yeah, I have an island for for just rule it, The first thing I do is like you could not come in without scrutiny, psychological assessment, certain things. You couldn't come in the country, basically, full stop. First thing.
Yeah.
You could not come in. I don't care who you are, how much money you are. You'd have to go through a psychological assessment.
Right.
And when I'm talking about it needs to be like people like Naim Akbar, Amos Wilson. Not talking about their psychologists. I'm talking about even Umar Johnson could be on the crew to assess you before you come in. Do you know what I mean?
But then that's draconian.
It's not draconian. It's your country, isn't it?
Yeah, but exactly. So when the people doing that, you can't say nothing, brethren. Yeah, but you can't say nothing. When you hear people doing that, you can't say a thing because that's their rule.
No, but I'm not saying to you. I'm not holding you down and saying if you don't vote for me, I'm going to shoot your family and kill you. I'm not saying that.
Well, but then you have that draconian rule. You're going to watch them. You're going to vet them. You're going to watch them every day.
Richard, no. You're getting it wrong, man. You're getting it.
So you wouldn't do that.
You're looking at it through. I think a lot of us look at it through the modern eyes now. Do you know what I mean? I was saying to a sister the other day, when you look at ancient Kemet, yeah, she was talking about, can you tell me about Osiris? And I said, first of all, that's the Greek name, yeah, right? And then she said, she had a dream, and she said, I was going to die. I said, listen, first of all, they didn't see death as like, you're looking at it through European eyes. You're not looking at the ancient thing. There was no death and go to heaven and die to go to heaven in Jesus' name and all that kind of nonsense. You know what I mean? And then I said, you worship bird and dog and all the thing. I said, don't look at it like that. You need to get out that kind of way. So this is what I'm trying to say, bro. We're looking at a lens. We're looking at through a lens of Europeans. You know what I mean? I can't blame us because even me do it. I'm even speaking English. I don't know no other language.
All right, let me ask you a last question. How do you view yourself? You're born here, correct? I can tell by the way you talk. I suppose you were born here, right?
Yeah, I was born here. My parents are from Jamaica.
How do you see yourself, brethren?
You see. Let me just answer it this way, right? And you can tell even the back to Africa groups, right? One thing you say, you don't say, I was born in a biscuit in your oven and all that. Yeah, don't use them things. But one thing I can say I would use is that the power is the ability to define your own reality. Right? I would use that one.
Say the rest of it. Hold on. Say the rest of it. Because some people don't say half of it.
True power is the ability to define your own. True power is the ability to define your own reality.
And to get people to carry it out. You see?
People to carry it out.
That's right. That's true power, brethren.
I don't know about that part.
Because they always, they only quote a little bit. They don't quote the whole. These are back to Africa groups. They keep that part out of it. But the whole sentence.
Anyway, so answering your question, right? Okay, when I was at school, they used to call me Beefy.
Yeah.
And we have some thick legs. There's some thick legs and kind of stocky and rare.
Yeah.
Now, from that year, they used to call me, some people know me by my surname. When I see people in the repertoire, they say, yo. And it's my surname. And then someone give me a different name because they don't like you, so they call you certain things. But it's like they might call you Langhead or Blacker.
Yeah.
Right? But it's not because they're cool, because they're trying to put you down, really. So what I'm trying to say is, from you kind of move up to different names, and in the end, you change your own names. Until the end, I define my own name. I don't even use my, there's certain people that call me my government name, what I call my government name. Yeah? But I can call myself whatever I want.
Yeah, but not talking about names here. We're talking about how do you classify yourself, brethren? Nationally.
No, but I'm relating to your question, right? And what the lady said and what your listeners have said. They can define themselves in whatever way they want. Who am I to tell them how to define themselves?
No, how do you define yourself?
Well, I can define myself as the divinity, like what you would say. I've been listening to you.
You're like a politician, you know that. You're a true politician,
I can define myself as the divinity. I'm not in no plainly earth. I don't need to define myself as that. I am everything. You know what I mean? I am the divinity.
All right, politically, socially, politically.
I'm not like Reese. I don't give those things labels. You see, I think these people give law and all these things labels and too much power. I don't define myself as that. Do you know what I mean? I don't define myself as.
Are you British or are you not?
The thing is, okay, if I'm coming through the airport, I'm British, yes? It means British, because the British go through the queue. They get put first. I'm British, yeah.
But in your mindset, in your devotion, in your consciousness, in yourself.
In my consciousness at the moment, right, to be honest, Heru, I don't define myself as, I'm not as I as played, but what I do define myself is that I'm the first human being on the planet.
Okay.
There was nobody before me. I haven't reached a divinity yet, but I start from there. I start from, look, you can't tell me anything here because we was everywhere. You got the people in America, they're trying to say, oh, we was indigenous. We was indigenous. We're the real indigenous Americans. We are the indigenous Red Indians before them. Yes, he was, but how did you get there? You understand? You got all these people, and let me just land with this, Heru, right? Because I think I got this from you.
Yeah.
You picked it up from someone. You said that there was a brother, and he described as like a glass egg, and he shattered it into many pieces.
Oh yeah, that brother there, yeah.
Remember, and that's how we are as a people.
Shattered.
Shattered. I'm not saying you can pick up all the pieces, but shattered into so many pieces.
And we break up more, we shatter, we grind it up to more pieces.
Yeah, instead of putting it together and sticking it back together, you're actually stepping it and crashing it more.
Fragmenting,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, but yeah, man.
Okay, enough respect.
We feel better now. You know?
Yeah, man. All right. Nice to hear from you. Enough respect. Bless up. All right. Okay, right. You're in tune to the People's Talkshow. It is now 5:44 and counting. Let me see if I've got any texts here. And I know that somebody's trying to get back. Let me see. Text sender says, I'm loving the discourse between you and Fiona. You are both teaching me a lot of things that I didn't know. Brilliant show. Thank you, Heru. Thank you for that text sender. Now listen here, Reese. I'm going to give you 2 minutes, mate, because we're coming near the end of the show, right? Here we go. Reese, you got 2 minutes, mate. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Fire.
Hello.
Yeah, you got 2 minutes. Let's go. Because it's coming near the end of the show.
I just find it rather amusing to a degree. Because I think I've been quite clear in answering your question. Your question, and it seems like they got you off the square. Your question was, what is your nationality?
That's right.
It wasn't how you define yourself and how you feel about it. That's a different question. And how you express yourself,
but Reese, it would come to the same conclusion. Because if I said to them, what is your nationality, and they don't see themselves as having any, they'll come around to the same point, brethren. You know what I mean?
Really, because if you ask a specific, then they should respect you and give you your specific.
But the man said it. He said he doesn't see himself as anything. He sees himself as a man of the earth, a planet like yourself, and he was everywhere, and that's a man's entitlement. So I cannot force them into a corner, brethren.
No. You don't force anybody into a corner. You just let them express their ignorance.
That's right. Yeah.
You ask a specific.
Yeah.
The specific is irrespective of how I like it. I live in a country where it has a queen. I live in a country that's got a dirty past. Some of it's good, but I'm not going to ignore the dirty past. There's people who say, well, I'll go back home to Jamaica. Well, there's Jamaicans that can't stand their government or their police. Look, there's dirt everywhere.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
But when you ask a specific...
Yeah, but if people are not prepared to give us...
people have to deal with that.
Yeah, but if people are not prepared to give us specific... And they're playing intellectual... Hold on. People are playing intellectual aerobics. That's their... They don't want to pin me to pinpoint them down. I can understand that. You understand? I can't throw a net around them and say, yes, you're this. I say, no, I'm not. I can't do that.
It's not specific to anybody. You get lecturers are like that too. Lots of people of all intelligence realize when you ask a specific, they are on the spot. You're asking for the truth.
And they're not bound to give it.
Because they've lived the life, benefit that out of it money-wise or told a whole audience what it is, but now you corner them and ask them a specific.
Yeah.
You demand specific. Just go to the market and ask for a pound of oranges and then give you a pound of dates. I see what you would say.
Listen.
You say, I asked for a specific.
I know.
I'm willing to pay for the specific.
Listen, you can be as specific as you please. People will not be tied down to that, brethren.
You know the good thing about radio? Is you allow them, you're quite right.
You
allow them,
turn them off.
Allow them to express their ignorance.
That's right. I know.
I am clear.
I'm being specific.
I am clear.
Yeah, but you're clear because you can define yourself as that.
The audience will be clear about the question you ask needs a specific answer.
Yeah, but if they don't want to give it, if they don't want to give it, if they don't want to give it, there's no way I can force it.
I'm not arguing that. I'm not arguing that. You just allow them. This is what you did.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. You allow them to express their ignorance.
Okay.
If anybody says British as a nationality, they are stupid. Because which one of the nations inside of Britain are you? I was specific. I did not ask for a description of the region where you are. I asked for your nationality. It's down to one. Which soil was you born on? And you don't have to agree with it. You had no arrangement about where you're going to be born. You're just stating the fact. And it's difficult for some people that have been raised by left-wing teachers. Oh, dear. This is the problem we have. And this is why I'm unpicking it. I'm leaving it. I'm letting anybody else within the next 5 minutes say what they want to say.
Yeah, man. Bless up. All right. Okay, got to call it. Go ahead, call it. You're live. You're live on Genesis.
Yeah, hi.
Hiya.
Yeah, man. Good show.
Thank you. Yeah, man.
Yeah, great story. I mean,
yeah.
That lady that was talking about this, having the children for mixed race children and mixed race for the white man. It's coming like a little bit like a Halle Berry, isn't it? The Halle Berry, she took she married a white man, had baby for a white man, and then she's basically taking him to court because he's treating the baby like they're treating the little girl like she's white.
Oh.
You understand what I'm saying to you?
Yeah.
She take the man to court for, you know.
Is
you
it?
Know what I'm saying to you, my brother. Yeah. So right now, the way I see it, there's just a lot of confusion and it just needs to be ironed out.
That's right.
There's a lot of people out there, you understand, that just don't have no knowledge of their self.
Exactly.
You understand? And if they listen to, you know, the program, you understand, then they just won't think for themselves.
That's right.
You understand? Because they've been herded into identity and group thinking. You understand?
Could do me a favour? Could you just keep talking while I was going to get the door? Just keep talking, right?
All right.
Cool.
You know what I mean? So differently, you know what I mean? You ask an important question in terms of what do you see yourself as, and, you know, in terms of national identification or whatever it is. You get me? Because, you know, even on forms and stuff like that, they got you into categories. Why are you black? Are you black African or black Afro-Caribbean? You know what I mean? So it's one of those things that people are being asked. People are being asked. When you're putting your details down on a form, they're asking you what is your ethnic origin. No, I'm just talking about in any form nowadays, isn't it? In any form nowadays, they claim that in order to, they're members of equal opportunity.
Yeah, to be fair, yeah.
And blah, 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 so this is why they ask you.
Yeah.
For me, you understand? understand? All they need to do is look at your name and look at your ethnicity, and then that's the equal opportunities can go out the window.
Hold on.
Really?
Oh, yeah, that's right. But if our name is Smith and Reed and John and all them things, they won't know if we're black or white.
Yeah, exactly. But now when you put an ethnicity on it, so
yes.
ethnicity on it, you know what I'm saying to you, man?
Yeah.
And now this is where equal opportunities can really happen, you know what I'm saying to
yeah.
you?
For real.
Ask the question, and I'm going to ask in terms of what you've been asking, you know, what do you identify yourself as?
Yeah.
You understand? Right now, I'm not telling the truth. Yeah, I remember when they used to call me West Indian. They just identified me as West Indian.
But it's such a thing. West Indian.
Yeah.
Are you Indian?
Yeah, listen, no, bro. I understand. I understand it. Yeah, it wasn't Indian. It was Indios.
Okay.
Understand? When so-called they was mapping out the West Indies, those people they bucked up on was Indios. Yeah, it wasn't Indians. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah. So this is what I'm saying to you. Yeah. If you think back right to when so-called when you was younger, right, and they would be writing you down, police stop you and you get yourself into problem or whatever it is. Yeah. How would they identify you?
Of course, by your blackness, isn't it?
Nah, man, they called you a West Indian.
Yeah, West Indian, but I don't understand that term. You said to me it means Indian, but I've never understood that term, West Indian.
Yeah, I'll tell you why. Because it's trickery. You understand? When they went into the so-called New World, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Those people that they came across in the Americas and the so-called West Indies.
Oh, we're Indians.
You understand? They called them Indians. No, they weren't Indians.
Okay.
They called them Indians. So when you look at the description of how they describe those people were black people.
Yeah.
You understand? But because there's a program from Back to Africa and in terms of letting us believe that the only way we came into the western side of the hemisphere was via slave ships.
Okay.
You understand? Mm-hmm. So now, if you think that, imagine it's the same thing in America, you know.
Mm-hmm.
America, blacks them don't even realize that a lot of them is home for them. It's home for them. That's why they can't get deported nowhere.
That's right. That's why we shouldn't get deported nowhere.
You understand what I'm saying to you?
Yeah, but we shouldn't get deported nowhere because it is our home.
Well, the thing about it, and that brings up another point.
Yeah.
The system has been deporting people, and bringing them from one country to another country for years.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So when you look up on all of them slave ships, there's that so-called slave numbers and logs of people that was deported into the Americas. You will find that a lot of those people was other people apart from black. But because everybody links everybody, you understand, as slaves to black people, because black people want to own that. You understand what I'm saying to you? Yeah. It's like nobody don't think about any other slaves apart from black people.
That's right.
Black people want to own that word. You understand? But then I understand that a white people word from Slavs, from Yugoslavians, the Slavic people.
Yeah.
Guess what? They want it back, bro.
Yeah. You know that, innit? Why do they want to own that, brethren?
Yeah, but you can see that they want it back with all the sex slaves and all of the laws, the modern slavery laws and all of them things. They got nothing to do with the atrocity that our people
been through. Yeah,
so this is what I'm saying, yeah? We need a new word for the atrocities that happened to us, and we need a new investigation.
True. Wow.
Understand?
Yeah.
To what's going on. But I understand the West Indian argument. One thing I know for a fact is that when you was coming up, and Babylon, so-called Babylon stopped you, they automatically identified you as a West Indian. The system identified you as a West Indian. They never ever saw an Indian person and said, yeah, that's a West Indian. It never happened.
Okay. For real.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
Yeah? So when we're talking about West Indian, you understand? I know some of my line is we would have said we falsely named the Arawak Indians. You understand what I'm saying to you? Falsely.
But you know, back in the day, I never really looked at. I probably accepted the term West Indian. It was a thing that it's associated with blacks, West Indian. You know what I mean? And I did actually accept it. That you know what I mean?
Never listen, but they never ever said that the Indian man was a West Indian.
Yeah.
Never ever. Never ever.
That's weird, man. That is weird.
You understand? Even to this day, if you see a coolie man, the only way you're gonna know he's a West Indian is if he open his mouth.
But then, what if it's Jamaican West Indian or whatever? Is it?
But this is what I'm saying to you. But then, you understand?
But so weird. Weird. I know, but go on. You finish.
I'm saying he has to open his mouth, my brother.
Yeah, but that would mean when you say open his mouth, that West Indian is only associated to Jamaican. Then are you saying you would know that he would be a Jamaican? West Indian, is it only associated with Jamaicans?
No. The whole of the Caribbean is West Indian.
I've never seen.
Is what they call West Indian. The islands of America. Those Caribbean islands is considered the islands of America.
Okay.
Of America. You understand what I'm saying to you? Yeah. And black people was in those places before any slave trade and all of them kind of things.
And that includes Britain as well. We were in here before any slavery.
Well, definitely. You understand? Because you understand when you understand what all Hadrian's Wall was built up from.
Yeah.
With the Roman Emperor Hadrian's Wall, where they built a border across.
Keep out black people. The blacks, yeah.
People.
You
understand what I'm saying to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we was all over the place.
Of course.
All over the planet. You understand? And this idea that everybody came out of
Africa is wrong.
By a slave trade is an insult, bro.
It is, most definitely. That's why they slaughtered that black brother in the on the YouTube who said he was not African American.
Listen, bro,
he said, "I'm not." Go on.
Yeah, go on.
No, go on.
I'm just saying. I remember when I was in college. You understand? And there was a situation where somebody said that they're not black, and you know that the whole class is just divided up. The whole class.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying to you? Certain people that said I'm not black, in terms of look at my skin color.
Yeah.
My skin color's not black.
That's right.
Do you know that they got ostracized by the black people in the class? I was like, right, it's a good job I wasn't there that particular day, because when I came in the next day, and I'm saying, how come this place here so frosty? That's what I heard happened the day before.
Okay.
You understand? One brother stood up and said he ain't black. You understand? In terms of his skin ain't black.
Yeah.
They might can call him black, but he's not black.
Okay.
Listen, 3/4 of the class then went against him.
Yeah.
Just because he stood up for that. So what we've got to understand, there's a lot of group thinking, herding us into
all right.
corners and stuff like
You should have called earlier, man. You should have called earlier because it's coming to the end of the show now, brethren.
I tell you the truth, I enjoyed the diversities of the conversation.
Okay, enough respect.
Regular, you understand?
Yeah, man.
So I'm just acknowledging that it was a great show.
Okay. Yeah, we're in now. Thank you very much. Bless. Right, folks, we've come to the end of the show, and I'd like to say I've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it's been informative. That's the last caller for the day. And we've got DJ Riggs in the area now. He's going to come and soothe us now and tweet us through the rest of the night and everything like that. So, remember, to keep it tuned to Genesis. I don't know when I'll be back. I'll be back sometime in the week. Just keep it tuned, and that will sort things out. Anyway, this is Heru saying I am out.